Chapter 12:25. Night came earlier in the Himalayas than in other places. It was dark around 6 o'clock. At night, it started to snow again. In this place, it was quite normal to snow at night. A large group of people were eating in the temporary dining hall. Qianjun put down his bowl and left early. A few minutes after Qianjun left, Charlotte put down his bowl and was ready to leave. "Holy thunder, where are you going?" Giovanna asked. Charlotte said, "I'm going out to relieve myself." He didn't explain much and left the dining hall. Akiko Tsukino stared at Giovanna with a strange look. Giovanna also stared at Akiko Tsukino. Then Stella, Teresa, and Rosa also stared at Akiko Tsukino with unfriendly looks. Akiko Tsukino shrugged and buried his head to eat. 2 minutes later, Qianjun walked out of his room with an equipment bag on his back. He left from the back door of the base and entered a forest. However, he stopped after walking for a short while. He looked up at a tree beside him and said, "Boss, come down. Don't you feel the wind is very strong up there?" A person jumped down from the tree. It was none other than Xiaolei. Qianjun was expressionless. "Boss, haven't I made it clear? I'm going to see him. I'm going alone. I don't want you to follow me. If my dad finds out that you are following me, he won't show up." Charlotte's eyes were pitch black. The look in his eyes was very strange. "Well, go back to sleep." Qianjun's eyes became dull. 2 seconds later, he turned around and walked back to the base. After returning to the base, he really went to his room and went to bed. This was another application of the mysterious energy, deep hypnosis. Although Xia Lei could not reach the level of Zhu Xianyue, who could completely turn a person into a puppet, it was not a problem for him to hypnotize Qianjun back to his room. Seeing that Qianjun had entered his makeshift house to sleep, Charlotte withdrew his gaze and climbed up the mountain. His speed had long since surpassed the limits of what a human could achieve. Even on the steep snowy hillside, he was still able to reach at least 30 kilometers per hour. Father really hasn't left yet. What does he want to do? First, he asked Yelena out and forced me to eat. Now, he left a message for Qianjun. Could it be for the same purpose? As he ran, Charlotte's heart was not calm at all. He could not help but think about problems related to his father. Now that things had developed to this point, he was almost certain that his father was not an ordinary person. His strength was quite terrifying. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for his father to sneak into the base without him noticing. Could it be? A question that Charlotte did not even dare think about suddenly popped up in his mind. Could my father have really been turned into a piece of clothing by Zhu Xianyue, or prehistoric only? Peaceful and Gu Qian were living examples. They had become Zhu Xuanyue's clothes. From a certain point of view, they were still alive, but from another point of view, they were already dead. If something like this happened to his father, then if we view everything as a game of chess, then I am a chess piece, and my father is also a chess piece. Our luck is not in our control. In this game of chess, are Zhu Xianyue and prehistoric only playing chess players? If so, then there should be someone in charge of the game. Who is he? Charlotte's speed was getting faster, and the hole in his brain was getting bigger. In the base, the 4 female knights gathered together from 4 different directions. They were all a little out of breath, and it was obvious that they had just run. I looked from the east, but I didn't see Holy Thunder. The brothers and sisters from the rescue group didn't see him either, Teresa said. I looked from the south, but I didn't find anything, Rosa said. I didn't find him in the north, and I didn't get any information, Stella said. Giovanna, who was the last to arrive, said, I just asked a brother at the back door. He said he saw Holy Thunder go out from the back door, and then Qianjun went out from the back door. Qianjun came back, but Holy Thunder didn't. I think Holy Thunder left from the back door and went up the mountain. Stella did not understand. It's snowing so heavily. Why would Holy Thunder go up the mountain? Giovanna said, Qianjun went to find Holy Thunder during the day. He was talking with Holy Thunder outside. I don't know what it was, but I am sure that Holy Thunder went out to do something. Why is he alone again? Rosa said with worry. Did he forget what happened last time? He was so badly injured. If not for the Son of God, he would have died. Teresa said, What should we do? Giovanna said, Stop talking. Go back and get your equipment. We'll go find him. We are Holy Thunder's knights. We should fight with him. Let's go. Gather outside the back door in 2 minutes. Bring the sled. The dark night, the howling cold wind, the sky full of snowflakes, and a running white sheep. The next time you were in the sky, it would be in the sky, and then on the ground. My master, that place is about 100 kilometers away from us. That place is deep in the Himalayas, near the border of Nepal. Your father left a message for Qianjun to meet at 12 at night. With Qianjun's speed, he can't do it. The voice of the big, white sheep. Charlotte said, Qianjun should be the fastest person in the world. He is 6 hours. I saw the sled on his equipment bag. If he uses the sled for 100 kilometers, it shouldn't be a problem. I don't understand his speed, but you're so good looking. Whatever you say is right. The big white sheep turned into a big-breasted beauty in a sports bikini and running shoes, Super Xiaoqian. As she ran, her plump breasts bounced up and down like two naughty white rabbits with only one pink eye. Her big white ball also shook like a piece of jelly on a vibrating screen, but not at such an exaggerated frequency. Charlotte had a headache. Xiaoqian, you'd better turn into a sheep. You look much better as a sheep. Super Xiaoqian turned around and looked at Charlotte with disdain. You don't mean what you say. Charlotte was speechless. Fortunately, they soon passed the signal area, and Super Xiaoqian disappeared. At 11 o'clock at night, Charlotte arrived at the foot of a mountain. He took out the letter that Qianjun had given him and looked at it. Then, he observed the surrounding terrain. After making the final confirmation, he climbed up the mountain. An hour later, Charlotte was halfway up the mountain. He put down his equipment bag and took out a Gale assault rifle. He also loaded a few clips into the belt around his waist. If his dad still forced him to eat this time, he would use the assault rifle in his hand to kill the people who were hypnotized. This was his plan. He would rather face the worst outcome than become a demon because of it. Charlotte was ready to fight, but it was still quiet around him. There was only wind, snow, and rocks. There was nothing else. He looked into the distance and awakened the ability of his eyes. However, he didn't find anything even after several investigations. He looked at the multifunction watch on his wrist. There was only a little more than 15 minutes left before the agreed time of 12 o'clock. Under normal circumstances, even if his dad didn't show up, there should be some movement. However, there was nothing. Come out, Charlotte shouted. His voice echoed in the valley and could be heard from far away. There was no response. There was only the sound of the wind and snow. I won't let you hurt the people of the Zodiac team. So I'm here. Come out and talk. Charlotte continued to try. He shouted even louder, come out. His voice once again echoed between the valleys. It traveled even further with the snow and wind. This time, there was finally some movement in his field of vision. In a narrow valley about 3 kilometers away, on the snow-covered ground, a large group of wolves were running towards him. Wolves? This was Charlotte's first reaction when he saw those things. However, when he locked on to the large group of targets and enhanced his telescopic ability, he realized that his judgment was wrong. Those weren't wolves at all. They were Cerberus virus-infected people who were running on their hands and feet like dogs and wolves. In a narrow valley, a large group of Cerberus virus-infected people were running in this direction. There were a lot of them. His brain had given him an accurate number of 366. Charlotte's mood suddenly became bad. He had guessed the beginning, but he couldn't guess the end. In his imagination, even if his dad used 1,000 troops as bait to force him to eat again, the number would at most be a few hundred. However, he never thought that the targets his dad wanted him to eat were Cerberus virus-infected people. And there were so many of them. Charlotte subconsciously looked at the Gale assault rifle in his hand. His mood became heavier. He did have a Gale assault rifle in his hand, but all the bullets added up to less than 100, and there were hundreds of Cerberus virus-infected people. He couldn't use bullets to kill all of them. Without hesitation, Charlotte turned around and left. He didn't want to stay a second longer. However, he only took a few steps before he stopped. Xiao Chang'e was standing on his way back. He was less than 10 meters away. He stood on the snowy ground, very quiet. There was no expression on his face. His whole body was like a stone statue. The father and son met again, but there was no sense of intimacy between them. It was as if they were two strangers. I knew you would come. Xiao Chang'e has said, this is your weakness. You always want to protect the people around you. And your woman, your child, your country. You have too many things to consider. But have you ever thought about yourself? Your time is getting less and less. You have less time every day, but you're still doing those boring things. Charlotte held the Gale assault rifle in his hand, but he still couldn't point the muzzle at Xia Changhe. Even if he suspected that Xia Changhe wasn't his father, he couldn't do it. This was actually his weakness, human nature. When will you completely wake up? Xia Changhe's voice was calm. Actually, I hope that it won't be you, but I know you will come. Why do you have to do this? Xiao Lei finally spoke, his voice filled with anger and helplessness. Don't you understand? You don't have much time left. Every day is a day less, but you are still so weak. I have to make you stronger as soon as possible. Xiao Changhe pointed to the hundreds of Cerberus virus-infected people in the narrow valley and said, "Look, I brought you food again. It took me a lot of effort to get these." "No," Charlotte roared. "I won't do that even if you kill me this time. If you don't eat them, they will eat you," Xiao Changhe said. Charlotte suddenly raised his gun and pointed it at Xiao Changhe. Chapter 12:26. Xiao Changhe didn't dodge. He didn't even move. His calm and cold expression made it seem like he knew Charlotte wouldn't shoot. Charlotte didn't shoot because the person standing in front of him was his and Xia Shui's father. Even if Xia Changhe's father was fake before the trip to the Xi province, the man in front of him was still his father. He couldn't change his mind all of a sudden. He couldn't completely break with Xia Changhe and shoot him. Xia Changhe lightly said, "If you shoot me, I won't blame you. I might even feel happy. But you can't be heartless. You disappoint me." "Heartless? Is that what you want?" Charlotte felt sad. Too many feelings, too many emotions, too many concerns. These will affect your evolution. Xia Changhe pointed at Charlotte's head. "What you want is a powerful brain." Charlotte was shocked. He suddenly thought of Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric Only One. Whether it was Zhu Xianyue or the prehistoric Only One, they didn't have emotions. They gave people a feeling of coldness and contempt for all life. Zhu Xuanyue's body was real, and she had some of peaceful and Gu Qian's consciousness, but that became her weakness. When peaceful and Gu Qian's consciousness appeared, Zhu Xianyue would become very weak, but once she suppressed peaceful and Gu Qian's consciousness, she would become very strong. If the final goal of evolution was to become an emotionless energy body and lose all human emotions, was this evolution really what humans needed? Humans are humans because they have 7 emotions and 6 desires. You actually understand what I'm saying, right? Xia Changhe said, "The brain is the master of the body, and it is the soil of emotions and desires. Without the brain, there are no messy feelings. The last obstacle of evolution is actually to lose the brain." Lose the brain? From a normal person's point of view, this was undoubtedly an absurd statement, and it was completely impossible. This was because the brain was as important as the heart in the human body. If the brain died, even if the person relied on medical equipment to survive, he would only be a vegetable without a soul and would not know anything. However, from the perspective of evolution, this was a necessary step to be taken. Zhu Xianyue and prehistoric Only were both living examples, especially prehistoric Only. He didn't even have a body, but he still existed and was extremely powerful. All kinds of feelings and desires were actually the feedback produced by the brain according to the information transmitted by the various organs. For example, when the stomach was hungry, the brain would release the desire to eat. For example, when his eyes saw a beautiful woman, his lower body would harden, and his brain would release the desire to do that. There were so many of them that they were innumerable. As the evolution progressed, Charlotte's body became less and less important. He didn't even want to eat normal food. One day, his body would disappear. When the body's organs became unimportant, the brain would no longer release those desires, and it would become more single-minded. In the end, he would become like Zhu Xianyue and prehistoric Only, a body of energy without emotions and desires. He would be cold and emotionless, looking down on all life. Xiao Lei indeed understood these principles, and he also knew what kind of path he was walking on. However, he instinctively rejected all of this. I'm doing this for your own good, Xia Chang has said. Enough. Charlotte's voice was very cold. You're not my father at all. Who are you? I said that you would know the answer, but not today and not here. Xiao Chang's gaze moved to the narrow valley. The densely packed hellhound virus-infected people had already rushed to the foot of the mountain. In another 10 minutes, they would arrive here. At that time, this place would become hell on earth. Charlotte took a step to the side and kept his gun aimed at Xia Changhe. At the same time, he looked in the direction of the narrow valley. There was a trace of anxiety in his heart. No matter who you are, I'm warning you for the last time. Get out of the way, or I will kill you. Why don't I tell you a secret? The secret of the hellhound virus. Xiao Chang has said. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. Do you think it appeared for no reason? Just like other viruses, a product of nature? You're wrong. It doesn't belong to this world. It was brought to this world by Zhu Xianhua. You've been in Nigeria, friendship mining, and you've seen Zhu Xuanyue's underground pyramid, right? What are you trying to say? Charlotte looked at the foot of the mountain again. To get something, you have to pay an equal price. If you don't even have this much patience, how can I tell you this secret? Don't waste time. Xiao Changhe laughed a few times before calmly saying, I believe you saw something incredible in that pyramid. The cold underground spring, the 6 beams of light that were shot out from the energy bars. They gathered into a beam of light that penetrated hundreds of meters into the ground and shot into space. How do you know? Charlotte's heart was filled with horror. What Xiao Changhe described was what he saw with his own eyes, but Xiao Changhe wasn't there at all. Xiao Changhe didn't answer Charlotte's question. The cold spring water is actually the nutrient solution for the hellhound virus. They need the energy from the energy bars to wake up. The beam of light that shot into space was Zhu Xuanyue's signal to her world. This place has become a hunting ground. In the near future, her kind will come here and carry out a new round of hunting. Charlotte suddenly understood something. He said with a trembling voice, You mean the hellhound virus was released by Zhu Xianyue, and this virus actually wants to turn people into food? Yes. You're lying, Charlotte said angrily. I know how Zhu Xianyue eats. In her eyes, people are her food. Why would she release the virus to reduce the population? If she wants to turn our world into a hunting ground, then she should maintain the status quo. Xiao Changhe snorted coldly. That's because you haven't preyed on people infected with the hellhound virus. Let me tell you, the hellhound virus will instantly put a person's body and brain into a high metabolic state. A person's potential will be completely stimulated, and the energy produced by the brain will be several times or even 10 times that of ordinary people. Ordinary people, in the eyes of Zhu Xianyue, are equivalent to food with low nutrition and side effects. After all, the brain of a normal person contains too many emotions and desires. Those things are actually viruses for her. But the people infected with the hellhound virus are different. Their brains have been purified by the hellhound virus. They are pure and contain more powerful soul energy. Tell me, if you were her, what kind of food would you choose? This was the secret of the hellhound virus. This was also Zhu Xuanyue's secret. Everything that happened in the underground pyramid in Nigeria was also decrypted, but Charlotte didn't expect that this secret would be unraveled by his father, and on such an occasion. At the foot of the hill, the people infected with the hellhound virus were already approaching. The ones in front were less than a kilometer away. With the speed of the people infected with the hellhound virus, even if they were to go up the mountain, it would only take 4 or 5 minutes at most. Looking at the people infected with the hellhound virus running wildly, a smile appeared at the corner of Xia Changhe's mouth. These are not ordinary infected people. They are the special forces of the Indian Mountain Division. It took me a lot of effort to get these food for you. Don't waste it. Hunt for food. After this, you will become even stronger. And I promise you that after this time, I will not harass you again, and I will not hurt the people around you. You don't have to accept my kindness. You can think of it as a deal. Charlotte looked straight at Xia Changhe and said coldly, I have a question. You answer me. Give me the answer, and I will make this deal with you. What question? I have been to the slums in India where the hellhound virus broke out. I know what is going on with the people infected with the hellhound virus. How do you control them? This was the question that Charlotte wanted to figure out. Xia Changhe was silent. Charlotte said, "Don't tell me you don't know. This is not an area controlled by India. If you want to bring so many people infected with the hellhound virus here, it is impossible for you not to control them." Xia Changhe remained silent. Who are you working for? Are you the leader of the FA organization? Is the boss behind you Zhu Xianyue or the prehistoric one? Say something. Tell me. Charlotte roared. Zhu Xianyue is here, Xia Changhe suddenly said. What did you say? Charlotte hurriedly turned around. At that moment, Xia Changhe suddenly rushed to Charlotte. His speed was extremely fast. His black clothes wrapped around his body, making him look like a bat flying close to the ground. When Charlotte heard the wind behind him and was about to dodge, his hand had already grabbed the Gale assault rifle in Charlotte's hand. His body also hit Charlotte's body with a huge impact. Bang! With a muffled sound, Charlotte's body flew down the hillside like a cannonball, and the Gale assault rifle in his hand also changed hands to Xia Changhe's hand. His body flew down the hillside, and in Charlotte's eyes, Xia Changhe's figure was becoming smaller. It was not that he flew too far, but that Xia Changhe was moving at an incredible speed. He is stronger than me. Why does this kind of speed look like a person? Charlotte didn't dare to think further. But he knew very well that the person he was thinking of was none other than the person who posed the greatest threat to him, the prehistoric one. However, this was only a guess. Xia Changhe had more secrets than him. Boom! With a shake, Charlotte's body fell on a piece of snow. The thick snow acted as a natural cushion, cushioning most of the impact. His body rolled down the hillside a few times and stopped. But he was not safe. Without waiting for him to catch his breath, a hellhound virus-infected person pounced on him. Blood-colored skin full of scales, a mutated bloody mouth, and limbs that had become extremely terrifying due to the stimulation of potential and rapid metabolism. The power they contained was terrifying. Faced with such food, Charlotte's stomach suddenly churned, and he almost couldn't help but vomit. He reflexively kicked, and the hellhound virus-infected person that pounced on him was immediately kicked away. But the hellhound virus-infected person did not feel pain at all, nor did he feel the slightest bit of fear. When he fell to the ground, he got up again, opened his bloody mouth, and pounced on him again. Behind him, more hellhound virus-infected people rushed over, densely packed. The beast-like roars, the thick smell of blood, and the hillside and even the air were filled with a terrifying aura. It was already difficult to deal with one hellhound virus-infected person, let alone more than 300 of them. Charlotte was very clear about his situation. His eyes also changed at this moment, losing the divine light of a normal person and becoming as black as ink. His eyes were like a slowly rotating vortex, sucking in everything he saw. Chapter 12:27. Growth. The frequency of his target's brainwaves and the speed at which he could control the target's brain were more than twice as fast as before. However, something that seemed very simple had an accident. Charlotte easily captured the brainwave frequency of all the hellhound virus-infected people within a 20-meter radius, but he could not control it. The moment the brainwave was captured by the energy field, the hellhound virus-infected people within a 20-meter radius only paused for a moment before they pounced at Charlotte, who was surrounded by them. Each of them bared their fangs and brandished their claws, roaring again and again. They were more beastly than wild beasts. What's going on? Charlotte's heart was filled with horror. Several hellhound virus-infected people pounced at Charlotte at the same time. Their attacks were very similar to those of canines, pouncing and biting. However, this seemingly simple attack became very dangerous due to their speed and strength, as well as their mutated bloody mouths. Roar! A female hellhound virus-infected person jumped up, opened her bloody mouth, and bit at Charlotte's head. She seemed to be impatient with Charlotte, this food. She actually wanted to bite off Charlotte's entire head and swallow it into her stomach. This female hellhound virus-infected person was missing one of her breasts. She was probably eaten by other hellhound virus-infected people before she was infected. One of her breasts was uprooted, and the other one was full of bloody scales. Even without clothes, her buttocks and that area were also full of fish-like scales, looking extremely ferocious. A fishy smell hit his face, and Charlotte resisted the nauseating feeling. He fiercely bent his waist back, avoiding the female hellhound virus-infected person's head to bite him. The female hellhound virus-infected person pounced over his head. He suddenly reached out and grabbed her ankles. Then, with his feet as the center, he rotated his feet while tightly grabbing the female hellhound virus-infected person's ankles, using her as a club to sweep at the other hellhound virus-infected people. Bang, bang, bang. Intensive crashing sounds rang out, and one by one, the hellhound virus-infected person was swept away. The female hellhound virus-infected person's head was bleeding from the impact, and a lot of the blood-colored scales on her body had fallen off. Orange blood flowed out, but she did not seem to feel any pain at all. She continued to roar and bend her waist, wanting to bite Charlotte. There was only one thought in the minds of all those infected with the hellhound virus, and that was to eat. Charlotte already knew this when he was in the slums of India. Now, after unraveling the secret of the hellhound virus, Charlotte already knew that this was a characteristic of the hellhound virus. Just like human reproduction, men and women always wanted to do that kind of thing. They reproduce by eating. Charlotte loosened his grip, and the female hellhound virus-infected person was sent flying. Like a cannonball, she slammed into the second wave of hellhound virus-infected people. Several of the infected hellhound virus were sent flying. However, in the next second, more infected hellhound virus rushed forward. At the foot of the hill, the hellhound virus-infected surged towards Charlotte like a bloody tide. Xiao Chang's words were true. They would either eat them or be eaten by them. Suddenly, a hellhound virus-infected person who had fallen to the ground bit Charlotte's left ankle. Arg! Intense pain came from his ankle, and Charlotte could not help but scream. The hellhound virus-infected person's mutated mouth had almost bitten off his Achilles tendon. Blood flowed out from Charlotte's ankle. The smell of blood stimulated even more hellhound virus-infected people. Whether it was those that had been knocked to the ground by Charlotte or those that were rushing over, they were like sharks that had smelled blood and swarmed forward. Charlotte punched the head of the hellhound virus-infected person who had bitten his ankle and refused to let go. The latter's head instantly cracked. The huge impact sent the infected person flying. However, the strange thing was that he was not dead. After he fell to the ground, he rushed forward again. In such a battle, even if he was not bitten to death, he would be exhausted to death. Boom! Another hellhound virus-infected person was sent flying by Charlotte's kick. However, a hellhound virus-infected person used a sharp claw to tear open a bloody wound on his back. That claw was like using a knife to open a wound on his back. From his right shoulder to his buttocks, the wound was at least 2 centimeters deep. The higher the grade of food, the higher the price. The pressure of death was unprecedentedly great. Every second was like dancing in the palm of the Grim Reaper. When his back was torn open, Charlotte's brain suddenly entered superbrain mode in a subconscious state. All the hellhound virus-infected people's brain waves within an energy field of more than 20 meters were captured again. All sorts of different frequencies appeared in his computer. His brain captured them one by one at an unbelievable speed, controlled them one by one, and devoured them one by one. What he did just now was wrong. He wanted to devour a large group of them in one go, just like the first time. However, that was a normal Special Forces soldier. They could not be compared to the hellhound virus-infected people in front of him. The potential of the hellhound virus-infected people's bodies was completely stimulated. The energy in their brains became stronger and purer, but the difficulty of devouring them also increased correspondingly. The energy in the brain of the first hellhound virus-infected person was devoured by the energy field. When it entered his brain, Charlotte felt something he had never felt before. That feeling was like a piece of barren land suddenly being irrigated by spring water, and it was filled with vitality. The mysterious energy became even more active. His brain reacted even faster. It was as if a powerful force had been injected into his muscles. Because of this, his speed became even faster. How fast was he? Like the wind, swift as the wind, agile as the wind. Dozens of hellhound virus-infected people pounced at him from the ground and the air. There was no space for him to dodge. Xiaolei's feet stomped heavily on the ground. The tremendous power was exerted on the ground through the muscles and bones of his legs. His body abruptly leaped up to a height of almost 5 meters, leaving all the hellhound virus-infected people below his feet. Without waiting for him to fall to the ground, a hellhound virus-infected person raised his neck and opened his bloody mouth, waiting for his foot to land. However, at that moment, the hellhound virus-infected person fell to the ground without any warning, completing the transformation from attacker to food. More pure energy entered his brain, and more power meant faster speed and agility. Xiaolei no longer felt the slightest bit of fear in the face of the hellhound virus-infected people that covered the mountains and plains. His confidence was as hard as a rock, unshakable. Tom was not affected by things. After 1 second was a new second. It would not stop even for a moment. As time passed, the corpses of the hellhound virus-infected people on the hillside increased. Charlotte's hunting speed also became faster and faster. He went from killing a single target to 2 at a time, and even 3 or 4 at a time. His hunting skills became more and more skillful, clean, and efficient. He did not hesitate to lock on to his target and devour the energy in the target's brain. At this time, he did not realize that he was becoming more and more like Zhu Xianwei. Facing these infected people, he did not have the slightest bit of pity. He looked down on everything about them. In the past, he hated this kind of hunting, but now his brain released a crazy signal, and that was to devour, 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 devour. This was like taking drugs. No one would like drugs before they came into contact with drugs, but once they were addicted to the hallucinations brought about by drugs, even the strongest person would sink deeper and deeper. Everything had a limit. Once that limit was exceeded, problems would arise. After devouring 355, Charlotte suddenly felt a splitting headache. His brain seemed to be filled with an expanding energy block. If it fluctuated even a little, it would explode. His body had a similar feeling. His muscles contained a huge amount of power, so much so that his muscles and bones could not bear it. His muscles and bones also felt like they would split open at any time and then explode with a bang. I can't eat anymore. If I eat anymore, I will explode. Charlotte was very clear in his heart, but the mysterious energy in his body did not listen to his command. It was still affecting his brain, releasing the desire to devour. Roar! A hellhound virus-infected person rushed over. Charlotte's brain locked onto the hellhound virus-infected person when he was still 30 meters away from him. Charlotte's force field enveloped the target, captured his brain waves, and devoured him. The hellhound virus-infected person fell to the ground. Charlotte's brain rumbled. At that moment, he really had an illusion that his brain had exploded. He no longer had a clear consciousness. His entire brain was like a desert, filled with sand and nothing else. Whoosh! A hellhound virus-infected person pounced at Charlotte from the side. Sharp claws with spiky nails and blood-colored scales slashed between Charlotte's thighs. Rip! The cloth was torn, and the skin and muscles of his thighs were also torn, causing blood to flow. If it had gone up a little bit more, his big penis would have been cut off. At this critical moment, Charlotte fell to the ground. The remaining dozen or so hellhound virus-infected person pounced over in frenzy. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots rang out, and one by one, the hellhound virus-infected person fell to the ground. Who fired the gun? Who came? Charlotte's eyes were wide open, but there was only darkness in front of him. He couldn't see anything. Then he heard the sound of footsteps and people talking. Holy thunder? Holy thunder. Wake up, wake up. Holy thunder? Ah, he's injured. Hurry and take him away from here. These were the voices of 4 women. My knights are here. This was Charlotte's last consciousness before he fainted. It was indeed 4 female knights who had rushed over. Rosa and Teresa carried Charlotte, while Stella squatted down and carried Charlotte on her back. Before leaving, Giovanna made the sign of the cross with her hand and murmured, "This must be the descent of divine punishment. The Son of God is fighting the devil. Holy Thunder, you are the God we follow and serve in this life." After experiencing this, it didn't matter if Charlotte admitted that he was a god or not. For the 4 female knights, he was already a god in their hearts. The 4 female knights gradually took Charlotte away. A black shadow silently appeared on the hillside. His voice was emotionless, colder than the cold wind on the hillside. The time has to be brought forward. Chapter 12:28. After an unknown amount of time, a trace of light appeared in Charlotte's eyes. However, it was only a trace of light, and he was still unable to see his surroundings clearly. His head was still hurting badly, and there were also the wounds on his body. During the previous hunting battle, he could not feel any pain at all. However, after the battle and the will to survive disappeared, everything returned to normal. Therefore, the feeling that he should have returned. His consciousness still needed some time to completely wake up. In a daze, he heard a woman's voice. "Oh my God, did you guys see that? His wounds are currently healing." This was Stella's voice. Of course, he's the Holy Lightning, our guardian deity. Amen. Not only us, there is also the Rescue Association and the world. I love him to death. Just thinking about it makes me excited. This was Teresa's voice. The little girl from the Russo family was probably the most gentle and the most infatuated among the 4 female knights. Are you guys only interested in those? What I am interested in is, his one is so white and big, hee. This was Rosa's voice. She was the most unrestrained among the 4 female knights. May the Lord forgive us for our wrongs. This was Giovanna's voice. Rosa, how can you say such words to Holy Lightning? So shameless. Am I shameless? Yesterday, when you spread your legs and waited for Holy Lightning to enter, why didn't you say that you were shameless? This was Rosa's voice. I saw it clearly. You were so excited that you were trembling. You guys are really boring. Can't you guys talk about something else? When I think about what happened yesterday, I blush. This was Teresa's voice. She was the easiest to be embarrassed among the 4 female knights. The 4 female knights were muttering, and it was not quiet at all. Charlotte still had not completely woken up, but his senses were much clearer and more sensitive than before. He could feel several pairs of warm hands on his body. Some were holding a towel and wiping his wounds, and some were using hydrogen peroxide to disinfect his wounds. There were also some who did not wipe or disinfect his wounds, but gently rubbed his lower abdomen, as if they wanted to go further down to the limit. Oh my God, just a little bit more, and Holy Lightning's one would have been cut off. This was Rosa's voice. She held hydrogen peroxide and sprayed on the wound on Charlotte's thigh with a pained expression. Fortunately, it wasn't cut off. Stella's voice was filled with joy. We haven't even offered our best things to Holy Thunder. If that thing of his is cut off, how is he going to want us? And we, oh my God, will be saintesses for life. Lifelong saintess? We'll be old maids after 40, said Stella. But our fears are superfluous, aren't they? Look, that thing is still fine. It's white and plump, so cute. What do you think it looks like? Ice cream cone. I think it looks like an ice cream cone, a cone coated with white chocolate and cocoa powder. I think it's a banana. I think it looks like eels, milky white eels. Enough. You guys, I'm ashamed of your words and actions. When 3 women gathered together, the scene was already lively enough, let alone 4. Charlotte wanted to open his eyelids, but they were so heavy that he couldn't open them. He wanted to open his mouth and ask them to shut up, be quiet, and stop talking about that thing of his. This made him feel very awkward. However, his lips seemed to be covered with a layer of tape, and he couldn't open them. Forget it, let them be. Isn't this the reason why women are women? The 4 of them swore to follow me with their lives and were willing to give up their everything for me. It's not a big deal for them to talk about that thing of mine. Actually, it wasn't easy for them. They suffered so much in the night's hospitaler, and after following me, they didn't have any good days. If they want it, and doing that can make them happy, I'll satisfy their wishes after my injury is healed. Charlotte thought this in his heart. Poochie, the sound of the spray. A burning pain suddenly came from the most sensitive part of his body. Charlotte couldn't help but groan in pain, and his face distorted. Although he didn't see it, he knew that one of the knights didn't believe it and sprayed hydrogen peroxide on a certain part of his body. Oh no, sorry. Rosa's voice. A pair of hands was holding a towel dipped in water and wiping it. It was a very panicked action. The burning pain, the gentle hands, and the drowsy consciousness. Charlotte didn't know how to describe what he was feeling at this moment. His mind was already in a mess, and because of that pair of small hands, it became even more chaotic. Why am I still unable to wake up? My consciousness has clearly awakened. What's going on? He started to think about a new problem. The 4 female knights started a new round of verbal war. Rosa, you idiot. How could you be so rash? Did you see it? Holy Thunder's brows are furrowed, and he's in great pain. Giovanna's voice had a hint of reproach. That's right, sister. You're hurting Holy Thunder. Even his younger sister Teresa was dissatisfied. I was careless. I've already apologized. What else do you want me to do? Rosa said, feeling wronged. Do you think an apology is enough? You've offended Holy Thunder. Stella's voice sounded. He's a god. Rosa suddenly threw away the towel in her hand and swallowed it in a single gulp. The other 3 female knights were dumbfounded as they looked at what had suddenly happened. Their jaws dropped to the ground. This gurgling. Ugh, are you guys satisfied? Rosa's voice was very vague and strange. He didn't know if the other female knights were satisfied, but Charlotte was very clear about his own feelings. He felt as if a part of his body was being eaten and melted. Other than this sensory feeling, he also had 10,000 awkward feelings. But even so, he was still unable to control his body. What's going on with me? My body is clearly feeling it, and it's very intense, but I can't control it. I've swallowed so much pure energy from the brains of those infected with the Hellhound virus. Will my evolution reach a higher level? Is my body leaving me? If that's the case, will my soul leave my body? A strange thought appeared in Charlotte's mind. The saying of the soul leaving one's body only existed in ghost stories. There wasn't a single example in the real world, and no one had ever been able to prove the existence of the soul. Someone had mentioned the saying of 21 grams of the soul, but that was just a saying, and there was no way to prove it. Wait a minute, the scientific world doesn't believe in the existence of the soul, but Dad mentioned the soul last night. He said soul energy, and the soul energy of those infected with the Hellhound virus is even purer. Could it be that souls really exist? According to what Dad said, the soul is actually a type of energy, and energy must have weight. Could a person's soul be 21 grams? Although he was unable to control his body, Charlotte's thoughts were getting clearer and clearer. If the soul of a person infected with the Hellhound virus weighs 21 grams, then the total weight of the soul energy I've swallowed is 355 times 21, which is 7,455 grams. 500 grams per kilogram means that the energy I've swallowed is 91 kilograms. My God, such a huge weight. Did my body weight increase the weight that I've calculated? At this moment, the place Charlotte wanted to lie on the scale the most was to weigh himself. However, he was lying on an outdoor sleeping bag, and Rosa was doing that kind of excessive thing to him. Strangely, the other 3 women had quieted down, and no one was quarreling anymore. They were staring at Rosa, looking at Rosa's cherry lips, as well as their holy lightning of holy lightning. If Rosa was a nurse, then she would be the nurse that every sick man in the world would want. Charlotte's imagination was still expanding. Dad used this method to force me to eat. He said that his goal is to make me stronger. He even solved the secret of the Hellhound virus and mentioned Zhu Xuanyue's plan. After I become stronger, I will definitely look for Zhu Xuanyue and get rid of her. This is what I want to do, but he is helping me make preparations in this aspect. Could it be that his goal is to get rid of Zhu Xianyue as well? If this is his goal, then he must be related to the prehistoric one. The scene of Xia Changhe leaving quickly at the beginning of the hunt appeared in his mind again. In his vision, Xia Changhe's speed was extremely fast. That speed made him think of a person, the prehistoric one. Zhu Xianyue, the prehistoric one, and even Dad want me to become stronger. I did not eat, so you guys used this method to force me. If this is what you guys want, then I will give you guys a stronger me. If I can only stop all of this by becoming a demon, then I will become a demon. The knot in Charlotte's heart was suddenly untied. If I do not enter hell, who will enter hell? If all of these disasters require a demon to save me, then I will become a demon. Bang! The knot in Charlotte's heart was untied. His mind trembled and his consciousness returned. The mysterious energy that had disappeared instantly awakened and surged into his body like a tide. It was everywhere in his brain, in his blood vessels, in his muscles and bones. Oh! Rosa suddenly froze. Holy lightning! You are awake. Giovanna drew across emotionally. God bless me. Holy lightning, are you all right? Teresa asked with concern. Are you in pain? What do you need? Stella wished that she could immediately experience all of Charlotte's feelings and satisfy all of his needs. However, when the four female knights were dumbfounded, Xiaolei suddenly picked himself up, pushed Rosa to the ground, and then pressed her on top of him. Following a strange sound from Rosa, everything changed and became chaotic. This was a small cave with a bonfire and a warm woman. A manic heart and a body filled with energy found comfort here. They found peace and also found happiness. Outside the cave, the cold wind whistled and snowflakes danced. It was a world of ice and snow. Inside the cave, the scenery was boundless. Chapter 1229. The passionate waves subsided, and the small cave became quiet. The bonfire had long been extinguished, but Charlotte did not feel cold because there were four women squeezed in the torn sleeping bag. Their bodies were as warm as a hot water bottle, and their skin was as smooth and delicate as silk. For female knights, two pairs of twin sisters. In the past few hours, Charlotte felt like there were 8 women. He did not know what was going on, but that feeling was unprecedented, very novel, and full of joy. The sky was bright, and the wind and snow outside had stopped. The rare sunlight shone down from the sky, and the pure white snow reflected the golden sunlight. The white was whiter, and the gold was pure. Charlotte wanted to get up, but he did not have the heart to worry about the sleeping female knights. They paid the price for their greed, because they encountered the holy thunder in its strongest state. They were exhausted and needed rest. Lying quietly, Charlotte carefully sorted out what happened last night in his mind. The purpose of combing was not to decipher, but to familiarize himself with the process of predation. In order to become an absolute powerhouse like Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric one, he needed to understand the predation skills of Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric one, as well as the reason why they became so powerful. When he stopped thinking about the problem, Charlotte calmed down and carefully examined the condition of his body. He used his eyes to see through the parts that he could see and used the mysterious energy in his body to examine the parts that he could not see. He saw his heart. It was beating smoothly with a frequency that was almost constant. It was beating about 30 times per minute, which was almost half of the lowest limit of 50 times per minute. If it was an ordinary person, such a heart rate would almost call an ambulance, but he did not feel uncomfortable at all. On the contrary, he felt very comfortable. His lungs were also expanding and contracting at an almost constant frequency, very slowly. He held his breath, and even when he did not need to breathe, his lungs did not stop moving. They were still moving at that almost constant frequency. He could also see his blood vessels, which were flowing with red blood and some glowing mineral powder-like substances. This discovery gave him a shock. This substance was actually the mysterious energy in her body, but it had only existed in his brain before and had not spread to other parts of his body. But now, the mysterious energy substance had spread to every part of his body. If this was already the case in the body, then what was the situation in the brain? With this in mind, he used the mysterious energy to examine the inside of the brain. After these examinations, he was so shocked that he crawled out of his bed. His brain was filled with faintly glowing mineral powder-like energy substances. There were so many of them that they were like the stars in the universe, innumerable. With this shout, Giovanna and Rosa, who were wrapped around him like vines, were woken up. Then Stella and Teresa, who were hugging Rosa and Giovanna, also woke up. This was a chain reaction of tracing the vine to find the melon. What happened? Did someone come? Giovanna rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked nervously in the direction of the cave's entrance. The other 3 female knights also looked in the direction of the cave's entrance. They saw the pure white snow, and a large part of the cave's entrance was sealed. But other than the snow, they did not see any suspicious targets at all. Then, the gazes of the 4 female knights gathered on Charlotte at the same time. They seemed to have the same question in their hearts, and that was, what happened to their male god? Holy thunder, what happened to you? Rosa said with concern. Only then did Charlotte come back to his senses. He smiled slightly and pretended to be calm. Nothing, I just had a nightmare. What kind of nightmare? Stella stared at Charlotte with a curious expression. Women were naturally more curious than men, and this trait was a bit like cats. I dreamed that those infected with the hellhound virus attacked us while we were sleeping. It scared me so much that I broke out in cold sweat. Charlotte said. Just as he said this, his back, chest, arms, and face were covered with many hands. The female knight's hands were rubbing his skin very gently. I didn't sweat. Giovanna said. It was very dry. Stella said. Rosa's hand swept across Charlotte's abs and suddenly slid into the sleeping bag. Then she giggled and said, Holy thunder, you really sweated. Charlotte looked at Rosa speechlessly. This vixen was the most lively and wild. She was a typical woman who was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Just as he thought about it, Rosa could not control herself. She suddenly slid into the sleeping bag and transformed into a lark that always loved to sing. Charlotte's brows instantly furrowed and then relaxed. The sudden feeling was so strong that he could not control himself. However, before he could catch his breath, Giovanna, Stella, and Teresa also came over, and a large pile of white flowers immediately drowned him. A strange sound echoed in the cave. It was like a stimulant that could make all restless people even more restless. When the 5 of them returned to the base, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. The members of the Zodiac Squad were gathering, and there were also some armed members of the Rescue Society. They all carried weapons and climbing equipment, and it was obvious that they were preparing to go up the mountain to find someone. Among these people, only Qianjun was not there. He had been deeply hypnotized by Charlotte and was still sleeping soundly in his room. This was probably the reason why the search team had not set off yet. Qianjun knew where Charlotte had gone, but he could not say it. Isn't that boss? Yelena immediately saw Charlotte and the 4 female knights entering the base from the back door. She was very excited. Akiko Tsukino ran over and gave Charlotte a firm hug. The 4 female knights looked at Tsukino Anko with a strange look in their eyes, but that was all they could do. They were not Charlotte's wives, so there was no need for them to be jealous. Besides, there were so many women around Charlotte. If they were to be jealous of all of them, it would be very sour. Their anxiety finally disappeared. No matter what happened last night, Charlotte was back, and this was more important than anything else to them. While Charlotte was talking to the members of the Zodiac Squad, the 4 female knights quietly slipped away from the side. The way they walked was a little strange, as if there was something between their legs, or if they had scraped their skin somewhere, and it hurt to walk. Boss, what happened to the 4 knights? Angumi Khan had a smirk on his face. Charlotte's face was slightly embarrassed, and he coughed dryly. We walked all night last night, and our feet are probably scraped. Well, I think so. We've scraped our feet. Boss, is that really the case? As a very experienced man, Siamu raised an authoritative question. Charlotte smiled bitterly. I say, why do you guys care about other people's feet for no reason? Come to the conference room in 10 minutes. I have something to tell you. Then I'll go wake Qianjun up. Alessio said. No, I'll go. Charlotte didn't want to stay with Siamu and Angyumi-kan for a long time. He walked towards Qianjun's temporary house. Qianjun was still sleeping soundly on the bed. He didn't know what happened last night. He didn't realize what happened until he was woken up by Charlotte. Boss, you. Qianjun looked at Charlotte in surprise. What did you do to me? Xiaolei smiled. I just wanted you to come back and sleep. You were very cooperative, so you had a good sleep. No, this can't be true. Qianjun got up from the bed. He looked at the sky outside the window and was stunned for a moment. Have you seen Dad? Charlotte said. Yes, and there are more than 300 people infected with the hellhound virus. Fortunately, I went last night. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to find her body. Dad, he really wants to kill me? Qianjun couldn't believe it and didn't want to believe it was true. Charlotte said, I've made it very clear. He's not the old dad anymore. He doesn't even recognize me as his son. How can he recognize you? Believe me, don't worry about him anymore. He's very dangerous now. Qianjun was silent. He remembered some things from the past. Charlotte patted him on the shoulder. If you still don't believe me, you can go to the place where Dad asked you to meet. You can see the bodies of those infected with the hellhound virus when you dig away the snow. I also want to remind you that if you encounter more than 2 or 3 people infected with the hellhound virus in the future, don't try to fight with them. If you can kill them with one shot, shoot them without hesitation. Of course I believe you. I was wrong. Qianjun bowed his head slightly and looked apologetic. Charlotte smiled. It's good that you understand. Don't apologize. I understand how you feel. I also understand the decision you made last night. But it's all in the past. Don't think about what happened last night. I've solved it. Come to the meeting room in 10 minutes. I want to talk to you. Okay. Qianjun nodded. Charlotte walked to the door. Wait. Qianjun suddenly said, Boss, was a hypnosis last night. Charlotte nodded. He didn't explain and left Qianjun's room. 10 minutes later, the members of the Zodiac Squad and the female knight gathered in the temporary meeting room. The first thing Charlotte talked about with them was his father, Xia Chang'e. He reminded everyone again that no matter what message they received from his father, they should not respond and tell him immediately. Although his father had promised not to trouble the members of the Zodiac Squad anymore, nothing was absolute. It was better to be careful. Apart from his father's matter, he also talked about the construction of the Xanadu base. He asked Giovanna to arrange more helpers to help him build Super Xiaoqian's brain. Once Super Xiaoqian's brain was built, he would leave. In addition, he gave some suggestions on the construction of the base and added a few functional buildings. After dinner, he went to the cave to build Super Xiaoqian's brain. This time, the 4 female knights didn't come to help, but Akiko Tsukino came. It was the same situation. Holy Thunder was busy. Holy Thunder was also busy. Chapter 1230. A week later, on the same day that Super Xiaoqian's brain was born, a military spy satellite named Holy Thunder was launched into the sky. This spy satellite was personally ordered by Charlotte and launched by the National Rocket Launch Center. There was not a single word reported by the outside world. A private entrepreneur customizing a military spy satellite and launching it by the National Rocket Launch Center was not something that could be done with money. However, this was not a big deal for Charlotte. The country was also happy to have Super Xiaoqian. One must know that Super Xiaoqian's value was even greater than a cyber army, and she was obviously on China's side. In fact, even if Charlotte did not pay, the country would still provide all the necessary support for Charlotte's manufacture and launch the satellite without any strings attached. After the trip to Shangri-La, there was a period of peace and quiet. His dad did not come to harass the Zodiac members again, nor did he bring any more food. The United States was also very calm and did not make any targeted moves. What was even more strange was that even the Cerberus virus seemed to be under control. There were no large-scale reports. However, Charlotte knew that this was only the calm before the storm. After this storm, He might face the biggest hurdle in his life. If he crossed it, the world would be wide open, his wife would be by his side, and he would live a happy life. If he couldn't cross it, he would either be in heaven or hell. During this time, Charlotte did not idle. He spent most of his time and energy in the day building the Yama fighter and Kuin Pung bomber. At night, he would return to Ping and residence to accompany his wife and children, enjoying the joy of family. This was very important to him because he knew that the time he could spend with them was getting shorter and shorter. Every day that passed was one day less, so he especially cherished every minute he spent with them. In the blink of an eye, the spring festival arrived. On the 30th of the 12th lunar month, Ping and residence was decorated with lanterns, red lanterns swaying in the wind. It was full of joy, full of the atmosphere of the new year. "Daddy," Xiaolong pulled on Charlotte's trousers, his chubby little face filled with a childish smile. "I want to set off firecrackers." Charlotte was shocked by him and picked him up. "You're just a fart. Why are you setting off firecrackers?" "I'm warning you, if you dare to set off firecrackers, I'll spank your ass." Charlotte shouted, "Mommy, Daddy will spank me. Ouch, ouch." Charlotte didn't know what to say. Long Bing was originally in Xia Shue's room to help Xia Shui prepare the wedding dress. When she heard her son crying, she hurriedly ran out of the room. Seeing that Charlotte was holding her son, she immediately understood, and a sweet smile appeared on her face. But she said nothing. She and Charlotte had been married for so long, and their son was already so big, but her personality hadn't changed. She still spoke so little. When Xiao Long saw his mother come out, he immediately pretended to cry, "Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Mom, Dad hit me, boo." He even said he wanted to spank you. I tried to talk him out of it, so he hit me. Charlotte's forehead was already full of black lines. Long Bing came over and waved her hand to slap Charlotte's ass twice. She pretended to be angry. "Do you want to hit me? I'll hit you first. Son, Mama's already sought justice for you." Giggle. Xiao Long laughed mischievously. Charlotte was a little speechless. "You will spoil your son like this." Long Bing smiled and said, "No matter how much I spoil him, can I be more spoiled than you?" Charlotte put Xiao Long down. "Go and play with your brother and sister. I won't hold you anymore, you traitor." Beep. Xiao Long made a face at Charlotte and ran away. Charlotte's face was full of smiles. He held Long Bing in his arms and said gently, "Wife, how are the preparations for the wedding?" Long Bing nestled in his arms and said softly, "It's almost done. She has 5 sisters-in-law to help her. It won't be a problem." At this time, Liang Xiao appeared at the door and said with a smile, "I said it's not good for you two to stay at Xion at night. Bing, come and help." Charlotte walked over with Long Bing in his arms. He saw several women in the room. Xia Shui, who was trying on a wedding dress, and Fan Fan, Jiang Rui, and Tang Yuyan were helping. Tang Yuyan's belly was even bigger, and her movements were very clumsy. Charlotte looked distressed and said worriedly, "Yuyan, it's not convenient for you to come and help. Rest more if you have nothing to do." Tang Yuyan said with a smile, "It's okay. It's okay. I'm just here to help with some work. It's uncomfortable to lie down all the time." Charlotte entered the room. "I'll help you with any work." Xia Shui came over and pushed Charlotte out of the door. "Brother, why did you come in? Get out." Charlotte was stunned. "Why can't I come in? I'm your brother. How can I try on a wedding dress when you're standing next to me?" Xia Shui rolled her eyes at Charlotte. "This." Charlotte smiled awkwardly. Okay, I'll go out." When he retreated to the door, he suddenly remembered something. He said, "Yuyan, come with me to the study." Tang Yuyan said, "What are you going to do in the study?" "I have something to give you," said Charlotte. Tang Yuyan looked a little curious. "What is it?" Charlotte said, "I don't want to ask. Come with me. You'll know soon." "Sisters, you go ahead with your work. I'll go and have a look." Tang Yuyan said with a smile, "If it's delicious, I'll bring it over for us to eat together." Liang Xiao leaned close to Tang Yuyan's ear and whispered, "Yuyan, if it's a banana, you eat it alone. Don't bring it over." Tang Yuyan spat softly. "Go to hell. You're a mother. How can you be so improper?" Charlotte said, "You have a share too. I'll ask Yin to give it to you later." Fan Fan said curiously, "Husband, What are you going to give us? You're so mysterious. Can't you just say it directly? Charlotte said, It's nothing. I just want to give you some money to buy clothes and cosmetics. So it's money. It's boring. Fan Fan curled her lips. Charlotte, only the women in his family didn't care about money. If it were other women, they would be very happy if the man gave them money to buy clothes and cosmetics. Tang Yin followed Charlotte to the study, and Charlotte closed the door. Seeing Charlotte close the door, Tang Yin said nervously, Husband, I'm not feeling well. Do you want me to follow you? Charlotte slapped her big white ball. Don't think too much. Am I that kind of person? You were last night, Tang Yin said with a slight blush on her cheeks. Charlotte coughed dryly. Just a few times. You're so stingy. A few times, Tang Yin said. Charlotte didn't know what to say. Take it out. What is it? Tang Yin didn't dare to make such a joke with her man anymore. She knew her man's character very well. If she lit a fire here, she would probably be responsible for putting it out. Xiaolei walked to the safe and opened it. Then he took out a few document bags from inside. He put the file bags on the desk and handed one of them to Tang Yin. Tang Yin opened the file bag and saw what was inside. She was stunned on the spot. There was a will in the file bag. It had been notarized by the National Notary Office and had legal effect. The content of the will was very simple. If Charlotte died or disappeared, she and her children would get 15% of the original shares of Rema Group. That was not all. What surprised him even more was a Swiss bank stub. The amount on it was 40 billion US dollars. 40 billion US dollars was equivalent to making her the richest woman in China. Not to mention her and her children, even her children's children's children would not be able to use up this money. This, Tang Yin couldn't speak normally. Charlotte said with a smile, You left the Tang family for me, and you still want to give birth to my child. I have to arrange a good life for you and your son. Tang Yin looked at Charlotte blankly. You? What do you mean? What did I mean? Don't all rich people do this now? Our family situation is different. We have a lot of people, so I can only give you this much. In the future, when I earn money, I will give it to you and your child. Charlotte said. He gave people tens of billions of US dollars casually and even inexplicably 15% of the original shares of Rema Group. If this was considered this little, then how much was appropriate? If this was considered showing off, then this must be the most pretentious person in the entire Milky Way. Tang Yin threw herself into Charlotte's arms and sobbed. No, I don't want your shares, and I don't want your money. I only want you. Charlotte hugged her gently, afraid that he would squeeze the child in her belly. Listen to me. I have my reasons for doing this. If you give me so much money, what about Rema Group? Tang Yin said. Also, what will Xiao and the others think? So that's what you're worried about. Charlotte patted her, but gently. Each of them has 15% of the original shares. There's also a Swiss bank deposit certificate in these file bags. The amount is the same. You can all get the same. If anyone has any objections, I will spank that person's butt. The same amount? 4 to 5, 200 billion US dollars? Tang Yin's jaw dropped to the ground. Charlotte nodded. Xiaoshui also has it, but as a dowry, I will give it to her personally tomorrow. No, more than 200 billion US dollars. You almost gave us all the money of Rema Group. What about you? What about Rema Group? I can't take so much money, and they can't take it either. Tang Yin put the file bag on the desk. Charlotte said faintly, I didn't touch any of the funds of Rema Group. What I gave you is my pocket money. Tang Yin, why are you looking at me like that? What I said is true. Charlotte said, Super Xiaoqian is the best artificial intelligence in the world. Google's AlphaGo and Cami can't even compare to her. The money I gave you is the money she earned from the United States, Japan, and European capital markets. Let me tell you this. Even if I gave you more than 200 billion US dollars, you won't have more than me. Tang Yin, that's it. Give him these file bags. I will go to the basement. Charlotte was ready to leave. Tang Yin looked at Charlotte eagerly. Husband, I don't know why I have a bad feeling. Is something bad going to happen? You gave us so much money for no reason. Aren't you willing to tell me? It's okay. Don't think too much. Okay, I'm leaving. Go and help Xiaxue prepare for the wedding. Charlotte didn't explain because he couldn't explain. He walked out of the door, and his eyes were wet. He didn't want Tang Yuyin to see him crying. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and the blizzard was coming again. Chapter 12:31. It was Xiaxue's wedding on the first day of the first lunar month. Peace Residence was crowded with guests early in the morning. Among the guests were ordinary people, big shots from the three realms of politics, business, and military. The huge Peace Residence was overcrowded. Those big shots came only because of Charlotte's face. He was marrying his sister, so he deserved to be treated with such dignity. After some socializing, Charlotte came to her room. The groom, Ryu Youngnam, was waiting and he looked anxious. When he saw Charlotte come in, he greeted him. "Brother, aren't you going to greet the guests?" Charlotte said, "I've greeted them, but I only managed to convince the more important guests. If I were to greet all of them, I wouldn't be able to do anything for the day." Ryu Youngnam smiled. "That's true." Then he added, "Thank you, brother." Charlotte patted Ryu Youngnam's shoulder. "I came here at this time just to have a chat with you. I won't say much else. I only have one sister, Xiaxue. Today, I'm handing her over to you. You have to treat her well and don't bully her. Do you understand?" Ryu Youngnam smiled bitterly. "Brother, I'm already satisfied that she doesn't bully me. How would I dare to bully her?" Charlotte smiled and said, "I know my sister. She has a strong personality. You have to give in to her." "Yes, I know," Ryu Youngnam said. "Then I'm relieved. See you later," Charlotte said and left the room. Do. The satellite phone suddenly rang. Charlotte looked at the number and answered the phone. However, he didn't speak and just waited for the other party to speak. "Mr. Xia, I'm already here." Kirsten's voice came from the satellite phone. "Tell me the time and place." Only then did Charlotte speak. "Peace Residence. You can come over at any time." After this conversation, Kirsten hung up the phone. On the first day of the first lunar month, this was Xiaxue's wedding day. This was also the day when Charlotte and Williams agreed to meet Kirsten. Charlotte left Peace Residence and went to St. Thunder Church. Xiaxue and Ryu Youngnam's wedding would be held in the Holy Thunder Church. The square in front of the Holy Thunder Church would also be the place for the banquet. When they arrived at St. Thunder Church, Charlotte saw his 5 bridesmaids and 4 female knights. Giovanna was dressed as a bishop and was ready to host the wedding. The Catholic Church did not allow women to be priests, but the Salvation Society was not a branch of the Catholic Church. The God that the Salvation Society believed in was not only God, but also Holy Thunder. The 4 female knights used to be saintesses, and after they offered their chastity, they became bishops. Therefore, no pope in this world could oppose a female knight becoming a bishop, and the Rescue Association would not care about the voices of opposition from other religions. Given the current trend, it was hard to say whether the Salvation Society would become a new great religion or not. The future was full of variables. "Honey," Liang Xiao greeted him. "Is Masahiro ready?" "It's almost time," Charlotte said. "He's ready and waiting for the time." Giovanna looked at the multi-function watch on her wrist. "There's still 1 hour left." Tang Yuyin walked over with a heavy expression. "Honey, I just received information from 101 innings. The military bases in Okinawa and Naha in Japan are making big movements today. Well, there's also a big movement in the U.S. military base in South Korea. 2B-2S and 10 F-35S are conducting military exercises." Charlotte was very clear. This was a signal from the U.S. military that Kirsten had come to China. If anything happened to Kirsten, they would take revenge. Also, Kirsten, the CEO of Lockheed Martin Corporation, came to China with hundreds of people, but we still don't know the purpose of Kirsten's visit. Charlotte said, "He came to see me." "Huh?" Tang Yuan looked very surprised. "Why did he come to see you?" "I want to talk to him, Charlotte said. "I want to get some information about the dragon-slaying plan from him." Of course, this was not the real reason, but it involved Zhu Xinyue, so Charlotte could not tell the truth. Tang Yuyin did not ask anything else. She could feel that Charlotte was not in a good mood recently, but since Charlotte was unwilling to tell her, she did not ask. This was because she knew very well that Charlotte was definitely not a man who needed a woman to worry about. He must have his reasons for not wanting to say anything, and she also believed that he would take care of everything. It had always been like this. Yu Yin, your brother and your father are here, as well as your godfather. Liang Xiao looked in the direction of the intersection and said. Tang Yuyin and Charlotte looked over together. At a glance, they saw Tang Buochuan and Tang Tianlong coming this way. Behind the Tang family's father and son was a particularly burly old man. He was the former director of 101 Innings, Sherborne. Charlotte frowned slightly. He did not invite these three people at all. Why did the Tang family's father and son and Sherborne come here? To attend Xia Shui and Ryu Youngnam's wedding? He did not think that the Tang family's father and son would have such leisure time. Brother-in-law, Tang Buochuan greeted him from afar, looking very affectionate. For the sake of Tang Yuyin, although Charlotte hated Tang Buochuan, he still showed a smile and greeted them. Dad, brother, godfather, why did you come at this time? If you didn't come, I would have to pick you up personally. This sentence made Tang Buochuan, Tang Tianlong, and Sherborne suddenly stunned, and the three of them showed an awkward look on their faces. They did not receive an invitation, but Charlotte asked them why they came at this time, and said that they would pick them up personally. Wasn't this saying that they came uninvited? Tang Buochuan laughed dryly. Brother-in-law, I didn't receive any invitation. Charlotte pretended to be surprised and then very angry. What? You didn't receive an invitation? How is this possible? I wrote the invitation myself and asked my secretary, Qin Xiang, to send it to you. Didn't she send it to you? Tang Buochuan shrugged. He didn't say anything, but his expression seemed to say, keep acting. I'll watch you act quietly. Tang Tianlong and Sherborne looked at Xia Lei with an expressionless face. Whether it was Tang Tianlong or Sherborne, both of them were reputable people. When had they ever received such a cold shoulder? Only in Charlotte's place. They dared not to vent their anger and anger. Charlotte turned a blind eye to Tang Tianlong and Sherborne's expressions and said, it must be Qin Xiang's negligence. How could he make such a mistake? I will definitely deduct his salary later. Qin Xiang did not know that he had been made a scapegoat. Dad, godfather, do whatever you want. I have a lot of things to do today, so I can't accompany you. After saying that, Charlotte left and entered the Holy Thunder Church. Giovanna and the other 3 female knights waited for him to enter the church. Fan Fan, Liang Xiao, Long Bing, and Jiang Rui also entered the church to make the final preparations for the upcoming wedding. Long Bing had wanted to greet Sherborne, but seeing that Charlotte did not say a word to Sherborne, she gave up the idea. If you marry a chicken, follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, follow the dog. She had to stand by her husband. The only one who stayed was Tang Yuyin. Actually, she also wanted to leave, but she could not do that like the others because Tang Tianlong was her father, Tang Buochuan was her brother, and Sherborne was her godfather. Humph! When Xia Lei and his women entered St. Thunder Church, Tang Tianlong snorted coldly and said furiously, what am I, his father-in-law, in his eyes? Was he a freeloader? Damn it! Dad, don't be angry. My sister married a good husband. Tang Buochuan said. It would have been better if he hadn't said such words. Once he said such words, Tang Tianlong was even angrier. Yu Yan, is this the good husband you married? He doesn't even take me, his father-in-law, seriously. Tang Yuyin took a deep breath and said after she calmed down a little, Dad, godfather, let's go to my room and talk. Let's not quarrel here. We have nothing to talk about. Tang Tianlong glared at Tang Yuyin. He did not dare to get angry at Charlotte, but he could get angry at Tang Yuyin at any time. Tang Yuyin's lips moved. She wanted to say something, but she didn't say it. She knew her father's temper very well. She knew that no matter what she said at this time, it would be useless. Sherborne said, Yuyin, your father is angry. Don't take it to heart. But then again, Charlotte is rich now. He doesn't even take me and your father seriously. He is really not a good person. Tang Buochuan said, yes, godfather, you used to help that guy a lot, but how does he treat you now? He doesn't even have the most basic respect. Sherborne waved his hand and said, "Forget it. I am a prime minister. I don't care about him." Tang Yuyin suddenly said, "He is not the kind of person you said. I don't like it. You unfilial son." Tang Tianlong suddenly walked up and slapped Tang Yuyin's face. Slap! With a crisp sound, a palm print suddenly appeared on Tang Yuyin's cheek. She originally wanted to dodge, but because of her big belly, her movements were clumsy and she couldn't dodge at all. Her face was burning, but she didn't feel pain in her heart. After leaving the Tang family for a few months, she had become more and more unfamiliar with the family, and the people in the family were also becoming more and more unfamiliar to her. Tang Tianlong wanted to slap her a second time. Tang Buchuan stepped forward and grabbed Tang Tianlong's hand. He whispered in Tang Tianlong's ear, "Dad, she is pregnant with our Tang family's child." Only then did Tang Tianlong put his hand down. Tang Yuyin was inexplicably nervous. She subconsciously took 2 steps back and said, "What do you want to do this time?" Tang Tianlong said, "Go back with us." "I'm not going back." Tang Yuyin refused flatly. Tang Tianlong said coldly, "This time, not only will you go back with us, but you will also resign from 101 innings. Which one will take over your job? Your godfather has already written a letter of recommendation." Tang Buchuan had a gentle smile on his face, but there was a hint of pride hidden in his smile. "Why today?" Tang Yuyin seemed to understand something. Tang Tianlong said, "We'll talk about it when we get home. I can resign from 101 innings. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have cared about that position at all. But I won't go back with them. This is my home," Tang Yuyin said. She actually guessed the reason why Tang Tianlong, Tang Buchuan, and Sherborne came here. Yesterday, Charlotte gave her a will and a deposit certificate of $40 billion. Today, her father and brother came and wanted to take her home. Why? Wasn't it obvious? She had a greedy father and brother, and a greedy grandfather at home. Chapter 1232. Charlotte made a will for Tang Yuyin and the child in her belly. This was a very secretive thing, but it was not secretive after it was taken to justice. With the Tang family's ability, it was easy for them to get first-hand news. Now, the will and the child were in their hands. What the Tang family had to do was to let Tang Yuyin return to the Tang family so that they could control her and the child in her belly. Of course, this was not to take Tang Yuyin away from Charlotte, but after leaving Charlotte, the Tang family had a chance to brainwash Tang Yuyin and make her do things that were good for the Tang family. And it was almost impossible for Tang Yuyin to stay with Charlotte. Tang Yuyin was not willing. This was not important at all, because Tang Tianlong and Tang Yinhai never cared about Tang Yuyin's feelings. They only had the interests of the Tang family in their eyes. "What did you say?" "Say it again." Tang Tianlong pointed to Tang Yuyin. "You have to remember that your surname is Tang, and you are a woman of the Tang family. How much blood of the Tang family flows in your veins? Is this your home? You and those women hang out with that kid all day long. You don't feel ashamed, but I feel ashamed." Tang Yin bit her lip, and her eyes had become strange to Tang Tianlong. "Go back with us," Tang Buchuan said. "Yu Yin, you have been away for a few months. Mom and Grandpa miss you very much. We are not asking you to leave Charlotte. We just want you to go back and live for a few days. I think it's okay to make such a request in front of Charlotte, right?" Tang Yin shook her head. "I have made it very clear that I don't want to go back. Today is Xia Shui's big day, and I also advise you not to make Charlotte unhappy." "Humph. Now you know to use Charlotte to pressure me, right?" Tang Tianlong was so angry that he laughed. "I really raised a good daughter." Tang Yuyin said, "Dad, you know I didn't mean that. Xia Shui is getting married. This big day is very important to Charlotte. I don't want you to make him unhappy. Don't worry, I'll submit my resignation letter." She looked at Tang Buchuan. "Brother, congratulations. You're about to become the director of 101 innings." There was no smile on Tang Buchuan's face. The director of 101 innings? He wanted more than that. Sherborne took out an envelope from his pocket and handed it to Tang Yuyin. "This is your resignation letter. You just need to sign it." Tang Yuyin opened the envelope. Not only did she see her resignation, but she also saw a pen. Her godfather had prepared everything. She smiled bitterly, picked up the pen, and signed the resignation letter in the palm of her hand. Sherborin took Tang Yuyin's resignation letter and sighed. Yuyin, don't blame Godfather. This is your choice. You can hardly work normally during this time. Tang Yuyin smiled. This job was never what I wanted. Now that I'm leaving, I have nothing to regret. If you think so, I have nothing to say. Sherborin said. Tang Yuyin turned and walked to the Holy Thunder Church. She was wearing a white bridesmaid's dress with a big belly, and her walking posture was like a penguin. However, it was also because of her obesity and her determination that she became a strange scenery in this winter. This scenery was related to the continuation of life, love, and maternal love. Stop right there, Tang Tianlong scolded. It's fine if you don't go back, but give me Charlotte's will. I'll take it back and keep it for you. Tang Yuyin suddenly turned back, and tears appeared in her eyes. Dad, don't force me anymore. Tang Buochuan said, Yuyin, we're doing this for your own good. Charlotte, do you know why Charlotte made a will? Tang Yuyin was stunned for a moment. What do you know? Tang Buochuan said, come home with us, and I'll tell you. No, you don't know anything. You can go. I don't want to quarrel with you now. Tang Yuyin wanted to know what inside story Tang Buochuan knew, but she was not the kind of woman who could be fooled easily. Charlotte didn't even tell her, so how could Tang Buochuan know the inside story? It was just a trick to trick her to go home. Do you think I'm lying to you? Tang Buochuan sneered. Not only do I know why he made a will, but I also know that he gave you $40 billion, right? Tang Yuyin was shocked. You? How do you know this? She was not surprised that the Tang family knew that Charlotte made a will, because Charlotte's will had been notarized. It was not difficult for the Tang family to know this matter with their channels. However, the $40 billion Charlotte gave her was confidential, and Charlotte could not tell others. So, how did the Tang family know? Come home with us. I'll tell you everything I know. The man you love has many secrets that you don't know. What do you know? Where did you get the information? Tang Yuyin's heart was full of suspicion and nervousness. She knew very well what her family wanted to take from Charlotte, but Charlotte was always hindered by her identity and face. Otherwise, with Charlotte's current strength, it would be a piece of cake for him to deal with the Tang family. But this also became the Tang family's unscrupulous reliance, which was also the source of her pain in being caught in the middle. Go home. You will know everything when you go home. Tang Buochuan still said the same words. No, you go. Don't persuade me anymore. Tang Yuyin said firmly. Something big is going to happen today. If you stay here, you will regret it, Tang Buochuan said. In my eyes, Xia Shui's wedding is a big day. Tang Yuyin walked to the Holy Thunder Church. There was a flash of anger in Tang Buochuan's eyes, but he did not attack. I must take you back today. I want to see if I, as a father, can control you. Tang Tianlong strode to Tang Yuyin. Tang Yuyin hurriedly ran to the interior of the Holy Thunder Church, but she was too clumsy with a big belly. She didn't even have 1/5 of her previous speed. In the blink of an eye, Tang Tianlong caught up with her. Tang Tianlong grabbed Tang Yuyin's wrist and pulled it back. Tang Yuyin staggered and almost fell to the ground. She was so scared that her face turned pale. Dad, I'm pregnant. You, how can you do this to me? Tang Tianlong's expression was cold, and his voice was cold. If this child can't become a member of our Tang family, then I would rather not have him. You don't want? Tang Yuyin suddenly cried and shouted. What right do you have to not want him? He is my child, not yours. You have no right to decide his future. Tang Tianlong pulled Tang Yuyin away very rudely. Dad, I'm begging you. You'll hurt my child. Let go of me. Tang Yuyin cried very sadly. Tang Tianlong seemed to not hear her crying and begging, and continued to drag her away. Tang Yuyin's tears flowed more rapidly. Why did her family always want to hurt her? Were the interests of the Tang family so important? They even wanted to hurt their own daughter for the sake of interests? They even wanted to hurt their own grandson? She couldn't understand these problems, but the harm caused by the Tang family was ongoing and it might continue in the future. The emotion and sadness in her heart burst out at this moment. She suddenly shouted, "Let go of me. I am no longer a member of your Tang family. We are no longer father and daughter." Tang Tianlong froze immediately. He couldn't believe that Tang Yuyin would say such words to him. Tang Buochuan and Shi Boren were also stunned. Obviously, they didn't expect that Tang Yuyin would say such disgraceful words. A second later, Tang Tianlong suddenly slapped Tang Yuyin's cheek. Tang Yuyin waved her hand to block Tang Tianlong's hand. After saying those words, she felt relaxed and had the courage to resist. "How dare you fight back?" Tang Tianlong was so angry that he suddenly pushed Tang Yuyin's shoulder. Tang Yuyin moved sideways and shouted at the same time, "Honey, help me." Hearing the words, "Honey, help me," Tang Tianlong hurriedly stepped back and didn't dare to reach out to Tang Yuyin again. For no other reason than that Tang Yuyin's man was Charlotte, the richest man in the world and the patron saint of China. He dared to make things difficult for Tang Yuyin because Tang Yuyin was his daughter, but he didn't dare to do it in front of Charlotte. A few seconds after Tang Yuyin's voice fell, the familiar figure of Charlotte appeared at the door of the Holy Thunder Church. "Honey," Tang Yuyin, who had suffered all kinds of grievances, walked to Charlotte, crying as she walked. Charlotte held Tang Yuyin in his arms and said in her ear, "I'm sorry to make you suffer like this. I've been watching you, waiting for you to call me." Tang Yuyin was taken aback for a moment, but then she understood. Charlotte was waiting for her to make a decision, because Tang Tianlong was her father after all. As a son-in-law, could he beat his father-in-law or beat him to death? In fact, this was what Charlotte wanted. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left, and he wouldn't have watched Tang Tianlong and Tang Buochuan bully Tang Yuyin without showing up. He thought about it further. He made a will for Tang Yuyin and the child in her belly. If he died or left this world, the Tang family would inevitably intervene in the business of Rema Group through various means. Rema Group was left to his woman and children. How could he allow the Tang family to meddle in it? This matter had to be resolved before the end of his lifespan. Therefore, what he was actually waiting for was what Tang Yuyin said just now. "I'm no longer a member of the Tang family. I'm no longer your father and daughter." Making a will, marrying his sister, and removing the hidden danger of the Tang family were actually his last wishes. He wanted to finish them one by one while he was still alive. Therefore, the secret that Tang Buochuan had given Tang Yuyin $40 billion was actually leaked by him, not by anyone else. Now that Tang Yuyin had completely left the Tang family and broken off the relationship with Tang Tianlong, it would be easy for him to deal with the following matters. While Charlotte was comforting Tang Yuyin, Tang Buochuan gave a hollow laugh and said, "Brother-in-law, don't get me wrong. My father just quarreled with Yuyin for a while. My sister is good at everything, but she loves to cry. She has been like this since she was a child." Charlotte looked at Tang Buochuan and said, "Shut up, you." Tang Buochuan's face suddenly turned red with anger. Charlotte said to Tang Yuyin, "What's going to happen next is not what you want to see. Go in first. They're waiting for you inside." "Okay," Tang Yuyin answered and obediently entered the Holy Thunder Church. When she left, she didn't look at Tang Buochuan and Tang Tianlong again. Her heart had been broken. After Tang Yuyin entered the Holy Thunder Church, Charlotte said, "I know what they're planning. Isn't it that will? Or maybe the $40 billion. Can I tell you that they're daydreaming?" Chapter 1233. What do you take the men of the Tang family for? Tang Tianlong's voice was laced with anger. "Our family isn't as rich as yours, but we don't care for money." Charlotte calmly replied, "That's right. Perhaps money isn't what you want. What you want the most is Rema Group's shares and the political capital you can reap from Rema Group. Am I right?" Tang Tianlong didn't say anything. It was hard to refute the facts. Charlotte continued, "Actually, if you didn't use Yu Yin as a tool, if you didn't have so many things you want, I might have married her long ago. I wouldn't have needed you to play matchmaker. Greed. It's not good to be greedy. I see through you, so I definitely won't let you enter Rema Group and meddle in Rema Group's business. I don't know how you got the news that I might die, so you can't wait to bring Yu Yin back, get my will, and brainwash Yu Yin. Your plan is good, but I want to tell you that Rema Group is a business I'm leaving to my wife and children. Don't even think about it. Tang Buchuan and Tang Tianlong couldn't help but look at each other. In that instant, Charlotte's eyes released a strange light. He didn't know how Tang Buchuan found out about his secrets, but he used his methods to dig up Tang Buchuan's secrets, and even the Tang family secrets. Buchuan, since they don't welcome us, let's go. Tang Tianlong left as soon as he said so. He and Charlotte had nothing to talk about. He didn't dare say or do the things he said to Tang Yuyin in front of Charlotte. Under such circumstances, there was no point in staying. All right, then we'll go back. Brother-in-law, I wish Xiao Shui a happy wedding. Tang Buchuan also left. Charlotte's gaze returned to normal. You can leave if you want, but you have to deal with this matter first. What is it? Tang Buchuan turned to look at Charlotte. Charlotte said, didn't you hear just now? Yuyin has already severed all ties with you. I'm sure it's painful for her to make this decision, but I support her because it's the right thing to do. You're just leeches attached to her body. Sooner or later, you'll harm her. I'm her husband. I have to protect her and my child. Charlotte, don't push it too far. Tang Tianlong was furious. Tang Yuyin is my daughter. Unless she dies, she will always be a woman of the Tang family. Charlotte's eyes turned cold. Unless she dies? Is this your bottom line? I'm too lazy to talk to you. Which one? Let's go. Tang Tianlong did not look at Charlotte's gaze. He was also a martial artist, and he knew what that gaze meant. Furthermore, it was the most frightening gaze he had ever seen in his life. Sherborin did not move. He looked at the puddle of water beside Charlotte with a frightened expression. That puddle of water was slowly freezing. Tang Buchuan did not notice it. He pulled Sherborin's hand. Godfather, let's go. We have nothing to talk about with him. Charlotte said coldly, Tang Tianlong, since this is your bottom line, then I'll tell you mine. If you don't agree and set the bottom line of Yu Yan's severing ties with you to be at the level of her death, then my bottom line is that you die. Tang Tianlong and Tang Buchuan's feet seemed to have been sealed by ice, and they could not move. Charlotte added, also the Tang family dies. Tang Tianlong and Tang Buchuan turned around and looked at Charlotte. Their hearts were filled with anger and fear. When they were pressuring Tang Yuyin, they did not care about Tang Yuyin's feelings. Now, they felt what Tang Yuyin felt, and it was even more intense. Do not doubt my determination, and do not doubt my ability. Didn't someone tell you that I was going to die? Since you think I'm going to die, then why don't I get rid of you? Charlotte said. Tang Tianlong and Tang Buchuan were still speechless. Their previous arrogance was long gone. Charlotte took out an envelope from the inner pocket of his suit. You prepared a resignation letter for Yu Yin, and I've prepared a contract for you. Sign it, and you can leave after you sign it. From now on, the Tang family will be the Tang family, and Yu Yin will be Yu Yin. You have nothing to do with each other. Don't come here again. The Peace Mansion and Rema Group do not welcome you. Kill me? Destroy the Tang family? Dream on. Let's go. Tang Tianlong turned around and left. He was a stubborn person, and also a man who valued his reputation as much as his life. How could he accept this kind of contract? Moreover, he would sign it under Charlotte's threat. That was no different from killing him. Brother-in-law, calm down. We'll go back first. Think carefully about whether this is the right thing to do. If the media finds out what you're doing, you'll be condemned by everyone, Tang Buchuan said as he caught up with Tang Tianlong. Charlotte suddenly said, Xiaoqian, stop them for me. A woman with big breasts suddenly appeared. She was blocking Tang Tianlong, Tang Buchuan, and Sherborin. She was wearing a black suit and a black skirt, matching flesh-colored stockings and white high-heeled shoes. She also had a pair of black rimless glasses on the bridge of her nose. This dress was simply like a female secretary in the workplace. People couldn't help but want to pinch her two hands. Charlotte was used to Super Xiaoqian's appearance, but the sudden appearance of Super Xiaoqian shocked Tang Tianlong, Tang Buchuan, and Sherborin. They all stopped in their tracks. Super Xiaoqian said in an extremely gentle and sweet voice. My master, I'm in the middle of a shower. Why did you call me out? Charlotte said, be serious. Let's get down to business. Super Xiaoqian put away her seductive and flirtatious attitude. Her office lady uniform also disappeared and was replaced by a military uniform. It only took her half a second to turn from an office lady into a female general, and the expression on her face changed from spring to winter. If there was a device that could measure the temperature of her expression, it would definitely be negative 50 degrees Celsius. Tang Buchuan was the first to react. He shrugged and turned to look at Charlotte. A virtual woman? Brother-in-law, what do you want to do? Charlotte ignored Tang Buchuan and said to Super Xiaoqian, now, investigate all the properties of the Tang family and the operation of their funds. If there are any problems, make a copy for me. Super Xiaoqian said, it's already in progress. It's estimated to take 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Tang Tianlong and Tang Buchuan's expressions suddenly changed. Sherboran said, Charlotte, I don't want to criticize you, but can you scare people with such a virtual woman and say such words? Sherboran's words seemed to remind Tang Tianlong and Tang Buchuan, and their expressions relaxed slightly. Brother-in-law, stop fooling around. The Tang family is not as dirty as you think. We're very clean. You won't be able to find anything, Tang Buchuan said. At this moment, a new 3D projection appeared in midair. It was information about a mining company under the Tang family. The data flashed quickly. Super Xiaoqian's investigation showed that this mining company illegally occupied farmers' farmland and state-owned forest areas. They also lied about their accounts and evaded taxes. More information about the Tang family's properties was dug up by Super Xiaoqian. There was nothing clean about it. Following Super Xiaoqian's actions, Tang Buchuan and Tang Tianlong's hearts sank and became colder and colder. If this information was leaked, the relevant departments would have to investigate. Once the investigation was done and the evidence was in the hands of the investigation team, the Tang family would have to pay a price and someone would have to go to jail. It was almost time for the wedding. Some guests came out of the Peace Mansion and walked towards the Holy Thunder Church in groups of 3 to 5. That's enough. Stop playing it. Tang Tianlong finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Tang Buchuan even rushed to the place where the data was displayed and waved his arms, wanting to destroy Super Xiaoqian's projection. Charlotte said coldly, Xiaoqian, transfer all the illegal income away and donate it to charity as a nameless person. That's billions of funds. Super Xiaoqian reminded. Transfer, Charlotte said. It started a second ago. Super Xiaoqian said. A new set of data appeared. It was the data and information of the fund transfer. Tang Tianlong and Tang Buchuan's phones rang nonstop. Both father and son took out their phones to check at the same time, and their faces turned ashen. The Tang family's funds were flowing away at a terrifying speed. No, Tang Buchuan panicked. Stop. Stop. Charlotte said, Xiaoqian, send all the illegal evidence to all the investigation department and news media all over the country. It's done. With the brain in Xanadu and the exclusive Holy Thunder satellite, Super Xiaoqian's execution was much faster than before. Tang Tianlong sat on the ground paralyzed. His pride, his thoughts on face, his plans, everything crumbled in this extremely short period of time. He looked at Charlotte with eyes full of hatred. I'm Yan's father. How can you treat me like this? How can you treat the Tang family like this? Charlotte threw the envelope in his hand in front of Tang Tianlong. I asked you to sign it. You thought I was joking, so I have to prove to you that I'm not joking. Now, I'm giving you one more chance to sign it. If you don't, the Tang family will really be finished, completely finished. Tang Tianlong grabbed the envelope. Ironically, there was a signature pen inside the envelope as well. His hand trembled as he held the pen. The Tang family had placed too much hope on Tang Yuyan. The Tang family even regarded the marriage of Tang Yuyan to Charlotte and the child of Tang Yuyan as the best opportunity in hundreds of years, but they did not expect such an ending. As long as he signed, the Tang family would have suffered a double loss. Such an ending was undoubtedly a black comedy for the Tang family. Charlotte said, "Xiao Qian, just take their money. I'll sign it." Tang Tianlong was about to be driven crazy. He grabbed the pen and signed the agreement to sever their relationship as father and daughter. Charlotte said, "Xiao Qian, that's enough. Go back and take your bath." "You're telling me to take a bath after using me? You men are so bad." Super Xiao Qian complained and disappeared. Charlotte walked to Tang Tianlong and took the agreement in his hand. He said, "I can guess your ending. You'll be investigated and sent to jail. For Yu Yan's sake, I've left a trace of your family's existence. Maybe you'll have a chance to make a comeback in the future. But if you do anything stupid again, I'll cut off that trace and you'll be finished. You doubt my determination. Didn't that person tell you that I was going to die? A dying man like me is capable of doing anything." Tang Tianlong's mind went blank. Charlotte looked at him. "Do you think you can replace Yu Yan as the director of the 101 innings? Don't even think about it. I won't let someone like you have a chance to threaten Yu Yan and her child. This time, if someone takes all the blame for the Tang family and you're lucky enough to get away with it, you'll be a traffic police officer. You'll be writing tickets on the streets. It's not a bad thing to live a peaceful life until you're old." Tang Buochuan wanted to curse Charlotte, but he couldn't say anything. A long line of black cars drove over. They were all Chevrolet Suburban off-road vehicles in the style of the CIA. Xiaolei glanced at the motorcade, a cold smirk forming at the corner of his lips. The person who told Tang Buochuan he was going to die was finally here. Chapter 1234. There was a memory stored in Tang Buochuan's brain. The location was the living room of the Tang family. The characters were the three generations of the family: Tang Yanhai, Tang Tianlong, Zhang Yumei, and Tang Buochuan. That damn girl hasn't been home for several months. It's not a good thing. Tang Yunhai's face was full of anger. She's about to give birth. That child must be close to our Tang family. But if she doesn't come home, how can we educate that child? Tang Buochuan said, "I got the news that Charlotte has given Yu Yan a will. It's the same as those women's. If anything happens to Charlotte, she and her child will get 15% of the original shares of Rema Group." "He gave it to her? Are you sure? Is your news reliable?" Tang Tianlong asked 3 questions in one breath. Tang Buochuan said, "I'm sure. The source is reliable." Charlotte took the will to the notary office for notarization, and there's a copy there. Tang Yanhai touched the strand of beard on his chin with excitement in his eyes. "Someone told me that Rema Group will surpass Lockheed Martin Corporation to become the world's most powerful arms group, and estimated its market value 10 years later. 10 years later, Rema Group's market value will reach $5 trillion, which is several times bigger than Apple, the world's most valuable company." Tang Tianlong also looked very excited. Money is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that Rema Group is the heart of the country's military industry. If our Tang family can get involved in Rema Group's business, then our children can get political capital from Rema Group that others can't even dream of. Wealth and political capital were the standard of any ambitious man. Also, Tang Buochuan added when his grandfather and father were most excited, he also gave Yu Yan $40 billion in savings. That money is in a Swiss bank. Zhang Yumei was surprised. $40 billion? Tang Buochuan nodded. Yes, $40 billion. Oh my God. Zhang Yumei patted her chest and said, "Even if we sold all the assets of the Tang family, we wouldn't have $40 billion. That kid actually gave our Yu Yan $40 billion so casually. How much money does that kid have?" "No one knows, but I think it's at least $500 or $600 billion, Tang Buochuan said. Tomorrow, after a short silence, Tang Yanhai said, "Bring that damn girl back to me in any case. I want the will and the deposit slip in our hands. Tomorrow, Charlotte's daughter will be getting married. That will be an opportunity. I will personally bring her back." Tang Tianlong said. Ding-ling-ling. Ding-ling-ling. Tang Buochuan's phone suddenly rang. He took out his cell phone and glanced at it. It was an unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a moment before answering the call. "Who is it?" A voice came from the phone. "Mr. Tang, I have good news for you." "Who are you? What good news?" "Charlotte is about to die. That's why he made a will for his woman." "Are you kidding me?" "Trust me. I'm telling the truth." "Why should I trust you?" "Because I'm his enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I want him dead, and you want his assets. We can cooperate." "I don't even know who you are. How can I cooperate with you?" "Tomorrow, I will appear at Xia Shui's wedding. We can talk then. Trust me, our cooperation will be a win-win situation." That was the end of the call. The members of the Tang family looked at each other in confusion. They clearly didn't understand what was going on. This was Tang Buochuan's memory. The person who called Tang Buochuan didn't mention his name, but Charlotte could tell from the voice in Tang Buochuan's memory that it was the voice of the CEO of Lockheed Martin Corporation, Kirsten. For Kirsten, Tang Buochuan was indeed a valuable partner because his sister was Tang Yuyan. Now, Kirsten was here. Behind him was a large group of CIB agents and his own bodyguards. There were hundreds of people in his entourage. This was even bigger than the visit of the President of the United States to China. Charlotte left Tang Buochuan, Tang Tianlong, and Sherborne behind and walked slowly toward Kirsten. Behind him, China's special forces and the elites of the rescue organization followed Charlotte at the same time. There were more of them. This kind of scene often appeared in gangster movies. Two big brothers brought their brothers here to negotiate, and if they didn't agree, they would start a fight. The two men stopped and faced each other. "Mr. Kirsten." Charlotte had a smile on his face. "Welcome." Kirsten took out a gift box and handed it to Charlotte. "Mr. Xia, I learned that today is your sister's wedding day, so I came a hurry. I just randomly picked a gift. I hope you can give it to your sister. I also hope that your sister likes my gift." Charlotte's gaze penetrated the gift box and saw what was inside. It was an exquisite bracelet inlaid with many diamonds. The largest was a pink diamond, which was worth millions of dollars. Based on the value of this gift, Kirsten's gift to Xia Shui was indeed a generous one. Charlotte opened the gift box and took a look. He said with a smile, "Thank you. She'll definitely like your gift." It was a Western etiquette to open a gift and compliment it in front of the guests. Even in the face of an enemy, one had to maintain his elegance. Charlotte said with a smile, "Mr. Kirsten, since you're here at this time, please come to my sister's wedding. It's my honor." Kirsten was also very elegant. "Please." Charlotte walked to the Holy Thunder Church. From the way they met, no one would guess that they were enemies. Most people would think that Kirsten and Charlotte were good friends. The Tang father and son hadn't recovered from the defeat just now. They saw Kirsten and Charlotte enter the Holy Thunder Church side by side, but they didn't react at all. When they entered the church, Kirsten looked back at Tang Buochuan. Tang Buochuan was slightly stunned, but he didn't know that Kirsten had called him. Charlotte caught all of this out of the corner of his eye, and a disdainful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. If Tang Buochuan was smart enough, he would realize his mistake and stop completely. If he colluded with Kirsten, he would be digging his own grave. However, would Tang Buochuan and the Tang family realize their mistake and turn back? This was something that no one could explain clearly. However, after this disaster, Tang Buochuan's value in Kirsten's eyes had been greatly reduced. Therefore, Charlotte wasn't very worried that the Tang family would do anything again. Xia Shui's wedding began. Xia Shui held Charlotte's hand as they walked down the red carpet. Ryu Yungnam was waiting at the bottom of the steps of the church with flowers in his hands. Giovanna was standing on the steps with a Bible in her hands. She looked particularly holy in her bishop's attire. Charlotte's 5 wives and 4 children walked behind them. They were Xia Shui's bridesmaids. Liang Jiyu, Xia Long, Xia Jianghe, and Xia Fan were the flower girls, scattering flowers as they walked. However, the 4 children didn't scatter flowers seriously. After a few sprinkles, they threw rose petals at each other. "Mom, brother threw flowers at me." Xia Long complained to Long Bing. Liang Jiayu said, "You threw petals at me first." The 2 boys began to quarrel back and forth. Liang Xiao and Long Bing had a headache. They looked at each other with a bitter smile and began to teach their children a lesson. Xiaolong, today is your aunt's wedding day. If you are naughty and disobedient, I will spank you. Long Bing looked fierce. Liang Xiao also taught Liang Jiayu a lesson. Jiayu, be obedient, or I will confiscate all your toys when we get home. The two naughty children stopped quarreling. However, just as the two brothers made up, the two girls, Xia Jianghe and Xia Fan, quarreled again. The reason for the quarrel was that there were more petals in the flower basket in Xia Jianghe's hands than in Xia Fan's. Jiang Rui and Fan Fan also had a headache. They didn't know how many times they had to persuade such quarrels in a day. Honey, take care of the children. They can't stop quarreling. Fan Fan asked Charlotte for help. Charlotte looked back and laughed. If they want to quarrel, then let them. It's better if it's lively. The children are spoiled by you. Jiang Rui looked dissatisfied, but she was very happy in her heart. The whole family walked to the church in such a lively manner. At the end of the red carpet, Ryu Yungnam looked nervous, but his face was full of expectation. He didn't marry Xia Shui because she was Charlotte's sister, but because of love. He loved Xia Shui deeply. The guests stood on both sides of the red carpet to watch the ceremony. Some applauded, some took pictures with their phones, and some discussed. Did you see that? That's Charlotte's 5 wives. Wow, each is more beautiful than the last. Yeah, it's worth it to be a man like him. I don't know how he got these women. He has 5 wives, but the scene looks so harmonious. He's really a role model for men. Does Charlotte need to chase women if he wants to marry? Childish. He can get any woman he wants. That's right. Does a man like him need to chase women? If I were a woman, I would want to marry him. Ha ha. Are those his 4 children? I heard they're all very smart. They're his children. Look, they can walk at such a young age. Those children are the future owners of Rema Group. Reincarnation is really a skill. The sounds of discussion filled the air, and the entire scene was filled with joy and excitement. Kirsten was also standing in the crowd. He looked expressionlessly at Charlotte and his family as they walked through the red carpet. His gaze moved to the 5 women behind Charlotte and finally stopped at Tang Yuyin's big belly. He did not know why, but the image of Charlotte and Eva appeared in his mind, and a ball of hatred ignited in his eyes. He couldn't forget what happened in Nigeria. Charlotte killed Charlotte and Eva and even almost killed him. If Zhu Xinyue didn't act in time, the grass on his grave would be a foot deep. Charlotte, you forced me to come to China to talk to me. What do you want to talk to me about? There was a cold voice in Kirsten's heart. I don't want to talk to you. I just want you to die. The CIA agent handed a satellite phone to Kirsten. Kirsten picked up the phone. 3 seconds later, he said, I've arrived at Rema Group. There's no danger for the time being. Keep all the fighter jets and bombers in combat mode. The Dragon Slayer project has officially started. Chapter 1235. At the end of the red carpet, Charlotte handed Xia Shui's hand over to Ryu Yungnam. At the moment when Ryu Yungnam took Xia Shui's hand from his hand, he felt as if he had lost something, and there was a little emptiness in his heart. He and Xia Shui depended on each other since childhood. He was her brother, but he also played the role of a father. He tore up the university notice for her and went to the construction site to work to earn money, support his family, and support her education. During that time, he was reluctant to eat and wear, but he always bought delicious food and beautiful clothes for Xia Shui. Although that period of time was poor and bitter, he felt that it was the happiest and most secure days of his life. Now he became the richest man in the world, but that sense of security was gone. Was being rich happy? No, it wasn't like that. Now, Xia Shui grew up and got married. Ryu Yungnam would replace his role to take care of Xia Shui, love her, and protect her. He should be happy, but there was a hint of sadness in his heart besides happiness. When Ryu Yungnam took Xia Shui's hand and walked into the hall of the Holy Thunder Church, Xia Shui looked back at Charlotte. Her eyes were full of gratitude and love. Charlotte smiled, but there were tears in the corner of his eyes. Long Bing and Liang Xiao reached out their hands at the same time. One and a half wiped away the tears in the corner of Charlotte's left eye, and the other wiped away the tears in the corner of his right eye. Ka ka ka. The electronic flash flashed, and this warm and loving scene was captured by the reporters. Tomorrow's newspaper and webpage would definitely have photos of Long Bing and Liang Xiao wiping away Charlotte's tears. What are you crying for? Today is a good day. Don't cry, said Long Bing. You see, we are all photographed and we're going to be in the headlines tomorrow. You're such a big man. Don't cry, said Liang Xiao. Charlotte smiled. Let's go in. The whole family walked into the church, followed by the guests. The church was overcrowded. The violinist began to play the Ave Maria, and the music echoed in the church, holy and festive. Xia Shui and Ryu Yungnam knelt on the stool and worshipped God. Giovanna sprinkled holy water on Xia Shui and Ryu Yungnam. After the prayer, Giovanna began to preside over the wedding. She asked Ryu Yungnam in Chinese with a foreign accent, "In the name of the Virgin Mary of the Church, are you willing to marry Xia Shui as your legal wife?" Ryu Yungnam replied, "I'm willing." Giovanna asked Xia Shui, "Xia Shui, in the name of the Virgin Mary of the Church, are you willing to marry Ryu Yungnam as your legal husband?" Xia Shui replied, "I do." Giovanna held Ryu Yungnam's and Xia Shui's hands together and guided Ryu Yungnam and Xia Shui to read the wedding vows. Next, the priest asked the bride and groom to hold each other's right hand. Under his guidance, the bride and groom read the following vows to everyone. Ryu Yungnam, I, Ryu Yungnam, am willing to marry Xia Shui as my legal wife. I swear that from today on, no matter what the situation is, poor, rich, healthy, or sick, I will always love you and never break my vows. Xia Shui, I, Xia Shui, am willing to marry Ryu Yungnam. I'm willing to marry Xia Shui as my legal husband. I swear that from today on, no matter what the situation is, poor, rich, healthy, or sick, I will always love you and never break my vows. At the end of the vows, Ryu Yungnam and Xia Shui hugged each other and then exchanged rings. "Give me a kiss," someone called out. Ryu Yungnam and Xia Shui hesitated for a moment. Then they hugged each other and had a sweet long kiss. After all, this was China. It was inevitable to play tricks on the bride and groom. It was inauspicious not to do so. This was the custom. Bless you. May Holy Thunder give you peace and happiness. Giovanna said, "Thank your brother," and bow to him. Holy Thunder? What kind of god is that? Xia Shui and Ryu Yungnam thought about this question in their hearts, and then the newlyweds couldn't help but laugh. Who cares what kind of god Holy Thunder is? The happiness at this moment is the most important. Xia Shui and Ryu Yungnam bowed together and said together, "Thank you, brother." Charlotte smiled. "I wish you happiness." He waved his hand, and Qin Xiang walked over and handed over a wooden box made of rosewood. Qin Xiang winked at Xia Shui. "This is your brother's dowry." Xia Shui smiled and said, "Brother, I don't want any dowry. Having you by my side is better than anything else." Charlotte handed the wooden box to Xia Shui. "This is your brother's intention. Take it. Live a good life with Masahiro. You must be happy." Xia Shui nodded. Thinking of her brother's kindness to her, her nose became sour and tears came out. Charlotte said with a smile, "Silly girl, today is your wedding day. Don't cry." Xia Shui really stopped crying. Ryu Yungnam reached over and wiped the tears from the corner of Xia Shui's eyes. His action was very gentle. Qin Xiang said, "Open it. Open it and see. Open it. Open it and see." Someone in the audience shouted. Many people were looking forward to the moment when the box was opened. After all, what kind of dowry would the world's richest man give his sister? This itself was a hot news. Xia Shui glanced at Charlotte. She seemed to be asking for Charlotte's opinion. Charlotte nodded slightly. Xia Shui opened the wooden box and saw what was inside. She was so shocked that she covered her mouth. Ryu Yungnam, who was standing next to Xia Shui, was also dumbfounded because he saw a $40 billion deposit certificate from a Swiss bank. $40 billion was equivalent to 250 billion yuan. Such a dowry was heavier than a mountain. Qin Xiang suddenly grabbed the deposit certificate and said loudly, "The dowry that Chairman Xia gave to his sister is 40 billion US dollars. Huh. The church was in an uproar. My God, how could he give so much? Isn't it like suddenly creating a richest woman? The world's richest man is indeed the world's richest man. The dowry that he gave to his sister is 40 billion US dollars. I don't know if Charlotte has a sister." Xia Lei had already left the podium while the church was in an uproar. He had done everything he needed to do for Xia Shui's marriage, and his wish had been fulfilled. Next, he was going to step out of the role of brother and enter another role, the role of a demon. Half angel, half demon. This was his current life. The noisy voices were left behind. Charlotte also cleared Xia Shui's figure from his mind. He had to maintain absolute concentration. The 4 female knights came up to him. Stella said, "Holy thunder, we've prepared the place for you to meet Kirsten." Charlotte said, "I'll go over first. You guys bring Kirsten here. As long as he comes alone, his entourage has to stay. You guys and the brothers from the Rescue Association will be responsible for watching over his entourage." "You should bring at least 2 people," Rosa said. "Teresa and I will accompany you to meet Kirsten." Teresa said, "Yes, Rosa and I will go with you. That guy is very dangerous." Charlotte said, "If there are too many people, it will raise his guard. I've decided. Let's do it this way." Rosa and Teresa still wanted to say something, but Giovanna stopped them. Giovanna said, "This is our territory. Kirsten won't dare to act recklessly here. Let's just follow Holy Thunder's plan." After saying that, she hugged Charlotte and kissed Charlotte's cheek. Teresa and Stella also hugged and kissed Xia Lei. Finally, it was Rosa, the female Italian knight who was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. After kissing Xia Lei's cheek, she moved closer to his ear and whispered, "How about we celebrate your sister's wedding tonight? We miss you very much. We miss you here and there." Charlotte was speechless. Perhaps his sensitive nerves had been triggered. Charlotte reached out to grab Rosa's big white lump that was wrapped in cloth and squeezed it hard. "Ouch!" Rosa cried out in pain. Her brows furrowed, and her expression was one of pain. She opened her mouth and intentionally blew hot air into Charlotte's ears and neck. An itchy feeling came, and a faint fragrance assaulted his nostrils. Charlotte's body instantly reacted, and he quickly let go of Rosa's big white lump's hand. His intention was to tease her, but in the end, he was still the one being teased. Right now, he had no time to flirt with him or do something even more passionate than flirting. He had been looking forward to meeting Kirsten for a very long time. His plan could only succeed and not fail. However, this was just his wishful thinking. When he squeezed Rosa's big white lump, Giovanna, Teresa, and Stella felt as if they had been treated unfairly and surrounded him. Giovanna put her hand into his suit, Stella put her hand on his butt, and Teresa, who was even more daring, put her hand on his thigh and succeeded. This seemed to be a protest through body language. You can't just pinch Rose's butt and not pinch ours, right? What are you guys trying to do? This isn't the right time. Charlotte was flustered. He could block the top, but he could not block the bottom. He only cared about the front, but he failed to defend the back. It was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands, not to mention that the 4 female knights had 8 hands. Holy thunder, there is still half an hour until the time you planned. Hurry up, and if we work hard, we will be able to solve the problem. Giovanna said. A few black lines appeared on Charlotte's forehead. Solve what problem? Stop messing around. You know what the problem is. Giovanna suddenly came over and kissed Charlotte's lips. The scene suddenly went out of control. Buttons were undone, zippers were undone, and some small items were pulled down. Then something was grabbed and swallowed. Charlotte had planned everything, but what was happening in front of him was not his plan at all. The reason for the scene going out of control was actually very simple. He had accepted the devotion of the 4 female knights on the snowy mountain, but after staying in Shangri-La for a week, he had never touched them again. How could they not desire a group of female knights who were deeply immersed in the feeling for the first time? Thus, even if it was only half an hour, they were not willing to let it go. When he became one with Rosa, his wife, and child suddenly appeared in Xiaolei's mind. He couldn't help but feel a trace of guilt in his heart. But this feeling was quickly drowned out by the feeling of happiness and disappeared. He was already a person who was making arrangements for his funeral, so why would he care about so much? Life was short, so he should enjoy it to the fullest. Half an hour later, the bishop's office was once again a chaotic scene. The female knights were busy putting on their clothes and tidying up their makeup. Giovanna was the most considerate one. She did not care about herself and tidied up Charlotte's clothes like a big white ball. Charlotte said he would do it himself, but she insisted. Looking at the scene of her seriously tidying up her clothes while the big white ball swayed under her eyelids, Charlotte smiled bitterly, and his heart was in a mess. After a while, Charlotte left the Holy Thunder Church through the back door and walked up the mountain. The place he had prepared for Kirsten was the place where Akiko Tsukino practiced swordsmanship. This time, the members of the Zodiac Squad did not return, and naturally, Akiko Tsukino was not here either. That quiet place was the perfect place for him to meet Kirsten. Chapter 1236. The forest was silent. The north was cold, and the birds had flown to the south for the winter. There wasn't even the sound of a bird chirping in the huge forest. Only the trees that had lost their leaves were lifeless. Charlotte stood at the edge of the frozen pond and looked at the surging water under the ice. His thoughts drifted far away. Many people and things appeared in his mind. Zhu Xianyue, the prehistoric one, Xiao Changhe, peaceful, Gu Qian, Kirsten, the world box with a missing corner, the prehistoric one, the crystal skull, the AE capsule. These people and things had become a part of his life and couldn't be separated. The prehistoric one had set a deadline for him, and now there was only half a year left. Before that day came, he had 4 wishes. The first was to research and build the world's most powerful fighter and bomber for China. Now the Hades fighter and the Kuan Peng bomber were being produced by Rema Group. It wouldn't be long before the prototype appeared. This wish was fulfilled. His second wish was to arrange the lives of his wife and children. He made a will and left a large amount of money. He didn't have to worry about the lives of his wife and children for the rest of their lives. They would live a good life, including his many lovers. He actually had arrangements so that they could live the rest of their lives in peace and without worries. Therefore, this wish was fulfilled. His third wish was to marry Xia Shui to a man she loved and loved. Ryu Yungnam was a good man. He had investigated this repeatedly. Therefore, he was at ease to marry Xia Shui to Ryu Yungnam. Therefore, the third wish was fulfilled. The fourth wish was to unlock the secrets of the world box and the AE capsule. This was his last wish, but he didn't know if it could be fulfilled. There were footsteps behind him. The person who should come was here. Charlotte turned around and saw Kirsten in a white suit. He looked especially clean and spotless in the withered forest. His hairstyle was neat and tidy even when the cold wind blew against it. Charlotte looked at Kirsten quietly, but Kirsten stared straight at the cylindrical metal box beside Charlotte's feet. "Why did you arrange to meet me here?" Kirsten asked calmly. "Have you not given up on killing me?" "She won't allow it. You should know very well that if you anger her, you won't have a good ending." Charlotte said, "If I wanted to kill you, I would have come to the United States. I wouldn't have invited you here. My agreement with Williams is for you to come over and talk to us. I just want to talk to you. I won't kill you." "Then why here?" "Because it's quiet enough here, and we can avoid your spy satellites," Charlotte said as he looked up at the sky. Kirsten's gaze moved to the cylindrical metal box on the ground, and a strange light flashed through his eyes. "The box contains the crystal skull, right?" Charlotte's heart jumped, and he thought to himself, "He's testing me." If his body has the same evolution as mine, then he should have the ability to see through things. Like Zhu Xianyue, he should be able to see what's inside the box with a glance. There's no need to ask him at all. Even though he thought this, his expression didn't change. "You're right." Kirsten also looked up at the sky. The crystal skull can interfere with the transmission of signals, and it can also interfere with the reconnaissance of satellites. This is a mystery. You've had the crystal skull for a while. What did you find? I didn't find anything, Xiaolei said. Kirsten walked toward Charlotte and stopped in front of Charlotte. You invited me here from the United States. What do you want to talk to me about? A lot. Kirsten's lips curled into a disdainful smile. I don't like to guess riddles. If you don't have anything to talk to me about, I'm going back to the United States now. Don't you want to see the crystal skull? And Charlotte wanted to say something, but he stopped. Kirsten's expression changed slightly, and his gaze fell on the cylindrical metal box for the third time. His eyes were filled with excitement. You're talking about that thing? There's only the two of us here, so there's no need to hide it, Charlotte said calmly. You're talking about the world box, right? Kirsten nodded. The crystal skull, the world box. Do you want to see it? Kirsten nodded again. Charlotte said, I can let you see it, and I can also share my research results with you, but it's not unconditional. Kirsten shrugged. I knew there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Let's talk about your conditions. You've successfully piqued my interest. It's not complicated. Before I tell you my conditions, I want to be clear about one thing. What is it? Should I call you Kirsten or Da Vinci? How did you come to this world? Charlotte's eyes stared straight at Kirsten. In that instant, his gaze changed. It was cold and devoid of human emotion. It looked normal, but if one looked closely, one would notice that his pupils were turning black. His eyes were like bottomless black holes in the universe. Kirsten was stunned. Say it. Charlotte moved his gaze away and looked at the cylindrical metal box. You know everything about me, but I don't know you. I believe you should have this much sincerity, right? Just now you... Kirsten looked at Charlotte suspiciously. Charlotte shrugged. Just now, what did I do? It was not that he did not do anything. Just now, he had awakened the mysterious energy in his body and tried to steal information from Kirsten's brain. He had done this once in the underground pyramid in the forest of no return in Nigeria, but he had failed that time. He had not been able to steal any information from Kirsten's brain. The reason he had tried this time was because he had already eaten on a large scale twice and was much stronger than before. However, he still failed this time. Nothing, Charlotte said. Then tell me. Kirsten said, then open the box for me to take a look. If there's something else in the box, won't I be fooled by you? Charlotte opened the lid of the cylindrical metal box and revealed a corner of the crystal skull. A gentle and pure light was released from the cylindrical metal box. However, he only revealed it for a moment before he closed the lid again. The light disappeared, and the breathtaking glimpse just now was like an illusion. Where's the box? Kirsten could not hide the excitement and greed in his eyes. Charlotte saw this, but remained calm. Don't be too greedy. The box is just below the crystal skull. Answer my question, and I will give you the crystal skull and the world box. You can touch them. Kirsten was silent for a moment before saying, it doesn't matter if I'm called Kirsten or Leonardo da Vinci. You can call me Kirsten, and you can also call me Da Vinci. Does it matter? Don't try to trick me. Kirsten shrugged. All right, Da Vinci died a long time ago, but Isotab used technology from another world. That's how I was born. Not only did Isotab extract the tissues from every part of Da Vinci's body, he even extracted the genetic chain. Therefore, the person standing in front of you is a 100% replica of Da Vinci. I have his best appearance and body structure. Also, because of Isotab's technology, I am smarter than him. Da Vinci could not create a dragon slayer, but I can. This was Kirsten's answer. After getting this answer, Charlotte did not know whether to call him Kirsten or Da Vinci. He was silent for a moment before saying, then do you still remember Da Vinci's memories? I mean, the things that you experienced during the Renaissance. Kirsten shook his head. Then do you still have feelings for Isotab? Kirsten looked at Charlotte with a strange gaze. What do you mean? Charlotte said, I've seen the notebook that Da Vinci left behind in the underground labyrinth. He wrote a lot about himself and Isotab in that notebook. He fell in love with Isotab. You said that you were a replica of Da Vinci. Do you have those feelings for Isotab? Ha ha. What are you laughing at? So you were such a boring person. Kirsten's lips curled into a disdainful smile. Stop beating around the bush. You could go to hell with your sincerity. We are not friends. We are enemies. What do you want from me? Just say it. If I think it's okay, we can make a deal. If not, I'll say goodbye to you. Charlotte kicked the cylindrical metal box between him and Kirsten. Then tell me, did the prehistoric one also master the technique to resurrect you from Isatab? This was one of the reasons why he had asked Kirsten to come here. This was related to someone very important to him. Xia Changha, the prehistoric one? Kirsten's gaze seemed to penetrate Charlotte's brain. Charlotte laughed coldly. As your assistant, Isatab wanted to resurrect you even after you died. Don't tell me you don't know about the prehistoric one. I know him, Kirsten said. Only that was his prehistoric name. Isatab had another name for him, Kasha Ruiz. That is his original name. In Isatab's language, this name means Apostle of Darkness. Kasha Ruiz? Apostle of Darkness? This was the first time that Charlotte had encountered the real name of the prehistoric one. The translation of Apostle of Darkness had touched his nerves. He seemed to have thought of something, but it was only a vague feeling that he could not grasp. Don't ask me why I have such a translation. I don't understand the language of Isatab's world. All right, I've told you the answer you want. I'm going to pick up the box now. Kirsten reached for the cylindrical metal box. Xiale stepped on the cylindrical metal box with one foot. You're going back on your word? Anger appeared in Kirsten's eyes. I'm not going back on my word, Charlotte said. You've ignored the most important part of my question. Tell me, did Kasha Ruiz master the technique to resurrect you from Isatab? Kirsten stood up straight. Can you tell me why I have to get to the bottom of this? Charlotte shook his head. No. All right, I'll answer your question, but I have to tell you that this is the last question I'll answer. Kirsten had lost his patience. Charlotte moved his foot away from the metal box. I don't have a definite answer, Kirsten said. However, I can tell you that Kasha Ruiz and Isatab have been fighting for thousands of years. They study everything about their opponents, learn from them, and then turn their opponent's abilities into their own. You can imagine it yourself. If you had an opponent and you studied him for thousands of years, what would you find? This was indeed not a definite answer, but it was also a very obvious hint. It was no different from a definite answer. What kind of concept was it for a person to study an opponent for thousands of years? Forget about the opponent's habits, weaknesses, and abilities. He would probably know how many strands of hair his opponent had. The prehistoric one had studied Isatab for thousands of years. How could he not know what abilities Isatab had? If he had 1,000 years to study, would he not be able to learn that skill? The image of his father, Xia Changha, suddenly appeared in Charlotte's mind. He felt like he understood something, but he was not willing to believe it. The truth was still hidden in the darkness. When would the ray of light that he had been waiting for arrive? Kirsten reached out and picked up the metal box. Chapter 1237. Kirsten opened the cylindrical metal box. Charlotte did not stop him. He just watched. Not only did he not interfere, but his expression was also very calm. A gentle and pure light was emitted from the cylindrical metal box. The crystal skull that was revealed from the box was still as mysterious and unfathomable. Charlotte glanced at the multifunction watch on his wrist. He realized that the watch could no longer receive signals. With just a glance, he shifted his gaze to Kirsten. His gaze changed quietly. It was deep, deep, and deeper, like a black hole collapsing into his brain. This was actually the real reason why Charlotte had shown the crystal skull to Kirsten. He had taken such a big detour just now, but it was all for this step in front of him. The crystal skull could affect a person's brain waves, cause hallucinations, and even control a person's thoughts. That would be the best opportunity for him to pry into Kirsten's brain and steal all the information. Kirsten held up the crystal skull. His eyes were filled with excitement and agitation. His voice was trembling as he spoke. It's real. The Mayans' crystal skulls are just inferior replicas. Whose skull is this? This is too magical. Charlotte's energy field had already enveloped Kirsten, capturing Kirsten's brain waves at the fastest possible frequency. Kirsten was completely unaware. He was soon affected by the crystal skull's interference. The expression on his face was excited, happy, and sad. Charlotte's brain suddenly vibrated slightly. He had finally captured Kirsten's brain waves. However, what he had captured were all Kirsten's hallucinations. Some images appeared in his brain at the same time. It was an image of Kirsten, Charlotte, and Eva together. Charlotte and Eva were naked. One was riding on his waist, and the other was sitting on his chest. The image was extremely filthy. These illusions made Kirsten very excited. However, the image that appeared next was hard to accept. The skin of Charlotte, who was sitting on his waist, started to fall off. She turned into a person infected with the hellhound virus. Then it was Eva. Eva also became infected with the hellhound virus. Charlotte had cut him in the very spot that had made him so happy, and it was bloody. Eva's was also covered in blood-colored scales and had cut his mouth and tongue. His mouth was full of blood. This scene made Charlotte feel disgusted, but he had to persist because he knew that this was his only chance. If he missed it, he would never have another chance. No, Kirsten mumbled to himself. You guys are dead. You guys can't be alive. Charlotte da Vinci, Eva da Vinci. You guys can't be infected with the hellhound virus, right? I will avenge you. I will definitely kill that yellow pig. Charlotte secretly said in his heart. So those two women are the descendants of Da Vinci. He actually had a relationship with his descendants. It's really dirty. Although he hadn't managed to steal any valuable information, it was a good start that he had managed to dig out this secret. However, just as Charlotte was about to enter Kirsten's mind, he suddenly felt that his brain waves were affected, and he was hallucinating. It was a delivery room. There were two pregnant women lying in the room. One was Tang Yuyin, and the other was Shinda Tianyin. The gynecologist was delivering them. They were in pain. They were breathing heavily and screaming loudly. Their faces and bodies were covered in sweat. He was standing next to them, comforting them as they waited for the baby to be born. A gynecologist suddenly pulled out a blood-colored baby from between Tang Yuyin's legs and handed it to Charlotte. The blood-colored baby suddenly opened its mouth and bit Charlotte's neck. This can't be real. Yuyin and Tianyin aren't in labor yet. This is an illusion. This is an illusion, Charlotte kept telling himself. At that moment, his brain trembled violently again. Then, he felt like he was falling rapidly. He felt like he was falling from a plane, and he would soon be smashed into pieces. The ground really did appear. It was a ground covered in withered grass. Boom! Ah! Charlotte screamed in terror. Then, his vision suddenly turned dark. The feeling of falling rapidly disappeared, and the darkness extended endlessly before his eyes. This place was like hell, and he could not feel his body. Am I dead? Is this real or an illusion? Charlotte had no idea. He subconsciously walked forward, and then he started running. He ran with all his might. He ran as fast as he could, but his feet made no sound. This dark world seemed to have no end, and it was strangely flat. There was not a single rock. Saleh stopped in his tracks. After venting the fear in his heart, he calmed down and thought to himself, what's wrong with me? This isn't real. This is an illusion. I used the crystal skull to plot against Kirsten, but I will also be affected. It's not that the crystal skull didn't affect my brain waves in the past, but it wasn't as strong as this time. Is it because I have consumed a large amount of the brain energy of the hellhound virus-infected people? The stronger I am, the greater the effect of the crystal skull on me? If that's the case, then I've really shot myself in the foot. The stronger the brain waves, the stronger the effect. This was a question that had no answer. However, just as Charlotte was analyzing his current situation, the darkness before his eyes suddenly receded like a tide. Light appeared in the dark space, and then it lit up. The scene before his eyes changed, and it turned into an old tomb. A familiar figure appeared in Charlotte's vision. Isatab, the goddess of suicide from another corn, Zhu Xianwei. There was another person, Kirsten. Kirsten was lying on a cold operating table. Beside him were glass containers, catheters, and other things that he had never seen before. His eyes were wide open, and he stared at Zhu Xianwei like he was looking at his mother. Zhu Xianwei touched his forehead, and the action also looked like a mother's. This scene was obviously Kirsten's birth. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. This isn't an illusion. I've invaded Kirsten's brain, and this is his memory. This was indeed Kirsten's memory. Charlotte's voice was very loud, But Kirsten and Zhu Xianyue in the old tomb did not react at all. Charlotte had no idea why this was happening, but he could guess that it had something to do with the crystal skull. The scene soon disappeared, and it was replaced by the internal affairs of an old family. Kirsten appeared, and with a token and a complicated code, he became the new owner. This old family had never had a real owner, and it operated according to a complicated system. It accumulated wealth and infiltrated the political and military world of America. In the old family, Kirsten met two young girls. They were Charlotte da Vinci and Eva da Vinci. They were both descendants of da Vinci, and from a biological and genetic point of view, they were actually his descendants. After they met, Charlotte and Eva were attracted by Kirsten's handsome looks and super high IQ. Plus, he was the family head that the family had been waiting for. So they soon fell in love with him and slept with him. The scene soon disappeared, and a new scene appeared. It was the internal affairs of Lockheed Martin Corporation. Because of the da Vinci family shares in Lockheed Martin Corporation and their influence in the political and military world, Kirsten easily replaced the original CEO and became the CEO of Lockheed Martin Corporation. He also proposed a series of reform plans. The fourth scene was the underground pyramid in Nigeria. Kirsten planted an explosive device in the tunnel and set up a trap, waiting for Charlotte's arrival. His plan was to kill Charlotte, but what happened later went out of control. He thought that Charlotte would die in the cold pool where the hellhound virus was cultivated, but he did not expect that Charlotte was not afraid of the low temperature and did not need to breathe underwater. Xiao Lei had killed Charlotte's good friend, Eva, and had almost killed him. Charlotte had experienced this personally, but it was not complete. And this time, he saw some of the things that happened later. Kirsten was crying by the pool, and Zhu Xianyue walked to his side. Am I not the person you love the most? Crying for two of your descendants. You are acting like a coward. Kirsten lowered his head, not daring to look Zhu Xianyue in the eyes. Zhu Xianyue said, I know you want to kill him because he is better and smarter than you. You want to kill him and become the best and smartest man in the world, right? Kirsten did not say anything, which was a tacit agreement. You don't have to do that because he is destined to die. Zhu Xuanyue's voice was heard. He is just a chess piece of me and Kasha Ruiz. He is very important, or else I would have killed him long ago. You are mortal enemies. How can you have the same chess piece? Kirsten's voice was heard. Kasha Ruiz and I are indeed mortal enemies, but we have a common goal. Enemies can sometimes work together. What goal? The world box and the secret of the crystal skull. Zhu Xianyue pointed at the sky above her head, and then looked at the energy beam that was gradually dimming. Her voice was faint. There is a shocking secret hidden somewhere in this universe, and that guy is the only one who has the chance to unlock that secret. Why him? Zhu Xianyue shook his head. Kasha Ruiz has this secret, but that guy will not share it with me. There is a promise between me and Kasha Ruiz. No matter how we fight, we cannot kill that guy before the deadline. So, you don't have to think about revenge. He doesn't have much time left. If you want to make him suffer, you could take revenge on his family. I know. Kirsten's lips curled into a sinister smile. I know what I have to do. The hellhound virus has awakened, and this world will become a hunting ground. I have sent a signal to my hometown, and they will come soon. We will store a large amount of energy here, multiply our population, and then rebuild our civilization. After leaving here, you have to bring the virus to India and Mexico and let them break out at the places I designate. Zhu Xianyue said, Is Nigeria the center of the virus outbreak? No, you will know in the future. Zhu Xianyue said. This scene also disappeared. Charlotte's back was cold. The fifth scene appeared. It was a fighter jet manufacturing workshop of Lockheed Martin Corporation. Hundreds of workers and engineers were assembling a black fighter jet. Its shape was extremely strange, like a flattened pyramid. Without a doubt, this strange fighter jet was Kirsten's Dragon Slayer. Boom! Darkness rushed in like a tide, and all the memories disappeared. Chapter 1238. Darkness fell again, and the whole world suddenly became silent, deathly silent. Why am I back here? Could it be that the crystal skull is still affecting me? Xiaolei was surprised and curious. After thinking for a while, he started to run again. Perhaps this was the only way to escape from the illusory world created by the crystal skull. Run, run, run. There were no footsteps, no sound at all. Charlotte did not feel tired. Running in this illusory world, this kind of intense exercise did not even consume any energy. He had a feeling that he could run like this forever until the end of his life. After an unknown amount of time, a light appeared in front of him. It appeared in the darkness like a bolt of lightning that cut through the darkness, giving people a very shocking feeling. I think I've seen something like this before. Is that the exit? Charlotte ran over, his heart filled with vigilance and awe. The light became brighter and brighter, and finally became a door made of light. It was very strange. It did not have a specific shape. If you thought it was square, it would be square. If you thought it was round, it would be round. If you thought it was arched, it would be arched. In short, the language in this world did not seem to be able to accurately describe it. Charlotte did not rush into the light door like last time. Instead, he stopped in front of the light door. This time, he saw very clearly. The light door was not a door, but a vortex made of extremely pure white light. It slowly spun in this dark world. He could not see what was inside it, nor could he see what was behind it. This light vortex had a very ancient aura, as if it had existed since the birth of the universe. The power of time was insignificant to it. Charlotte reached out a hand and slowly reached toward the white light vortex. He wanted to test what would happen if he touched the white light vortex. There was a certain degree of danger, but he could not control his curiosity. Although he maintained enough vigilance, the moment his finger touched the white light vortex, he seemed to see a face hidden in the white light vortex, a shining face. He could see the outline of the face, but he could not see the details of the face. At that moment, an irresistible suction force appeared and instantly pulled him in. Then, all he could see was a vast expanse of whiteness. There was only pure white, and nothing else could be seen. His entire being seemed to have been purified, leaving nothing behind. That strange face seemed to be entwined with him. He didn't know why, but he didn't feel afraid. Instead, he felt a sense of familiarity and intimacy. Boom! With a tremor, all the illusions disappeared. Natural light poured down from above. It was so real. The wind from the grotto heaven blew past his cheeks, bringing with it a cold feeling. It was so real. Xiaolei stood there in a daze, motionless. Kirsten was right in front of him, holding the crystal skull like a fool. However, his mind was not on Kirsten at all. His mind kept thinking about the vortex formed by the white light and the mysterious face hidden in the vortex. Whose face was that? Why was he inside the vortex formed by the white light? Was he a living person, or an illusion that didn't exist, or was it an illusion? Why did he have that strange, familiar, and intimate feeling? All these questions appeared in Charlotte's mind at once, but he couldn't even figure out a single one of them. After almost 5 minutes, Charlotte came back from his thoughts. He looked at Kirsten, looked at the crystal skull in Kirsten's hand, and was thinking about how to end this matter. Now that things had progressed to this stage, he had actually achieved his goal. What to do with Kirsten was the problem he had to face now. If he wanted to kill Kirsten now, it would be very easy. He could stab him to death, or he could shoot him in the head. However, if he did that, he would have to face the consequences of doing so. Kirsten was the CEO of Lockheed Martin Corporation and the designer of the Dragon Slayer. He was irreplaceable and extremely valuable in the eyes of the people in the Pentagon. If he died here, there was a high chance that war would break out between China and the United States. To make matters worse, he would have to face Zhu Xuanyue's revenge. Even if Zhu Xianyue didn't kill him, she could still attack his family, and that was a consequence that he couldn't accept. There was also the worst-case scenario, which was if Zhu Xianyue or the United States attacked China with the Hellhound virus. The result would be a disaster for the country and its people, and it would be unbearable. It was easy to kill a person. He could kill them on impulse, but after the momentary pleasure, he would have to face the consequences of killing the person. Kirsten wanted to die because his existence would threaten his wife and children, but he didn't have to kill him here. Charlotte had already thought of a better plan than killing Kirsten immediately. Charlotte reached into the cylindrical metal box and took out a box with a chipped corner from the hidden compartment at the bottom. It was the box of the world. The box of the world was an existence that Zhu Xianyue and the prehistoric one were afraid of. Those who came into contact with it would either die or go crazy. What would happen if Kirsten came into contact with it? Charlotte took the crystal skull from Kirsten's hand and placed the box of the world in Kirsten's hand. After Charlotte put the crystal skull into the cylindrical metal box and closed the lid, Kirsten quickly regained his consciousness. He looked at Charlotte cautiously. "What happened?" "Nothing happened," Charlotte said, and pointed at the box of the world in Kirsten's hand. "I fulfill my promise. Take a look at it quickly. I'll give you 10 minutes. If you don't think it's enough, I can give you more time." Kirsten's gaze moved to his hand and realized that Charlotte had taken the crystal skull away and was holding a box with a chipped corner. His gaze stopped on the box of the world and couldn't move away. The box of the world looked like it was made of bronze. There were strange patterns on it, and it looked very old. It gave the feeling that it had existed for as long as the universe had existed. Xiale looked at Kirsten quietly, the corner of his mouth curling up into a cold smile. "You've been studying it for so long. What did you find?" Kirsten asked. "I didn't find anything," Charlotte said. "Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked you to come here. You think I know its secret? You're from Isatab. You should know something, right?" Charlotte said. "Of course," Kirsten said. "But why should I tell you?" Charlotte laughed coldly in his heart and thought to himself, "What do you know? You're not even a year old. How could you know the secret of the box of the world? If you knew, why would you take it? You wouldn't even have time to throw it away." That was what he thought, but he didn't show it on his face. "Mr. Kirsten, what do you want from me that you're willing to tell me?" Kirsten said, "Take me to the Rema group. Let me take a look at the fighter jets and bombers you've been researching, and I'll tell you the secret I know." Charlotte smiled. "You don't know anything, do you? I researched it during the Renaissance. Do you think I don't know its secret?" Kirsten hid his true reaction with a disdainful smile. If he hadn't stolen Kirsten's memory, Charlotte might have believed him a little, but after stealing Kirsten's memory, he was sure that Kirsten didn't know anything. Also, there was a loophole in Kirsten's words. He had actually found the fragments of the world core piece by piece and pieced them together to form the box. The box of the world didn't exist during the Renaissance. So how could Da Vinci research something that didn't exist? However, at this moment, Kirsten suddenly threw the box of the world in his hand out. His expression became nervous. "Why are you showing it to me? And you're willing to give me more time? What are you plotting?" "Because you want to see it," Charlotte said calmly. "You think you're the smartest person in the world, but Isatab told you that only I can solve the secret of the box of the world and the crystal skull. You're not convinced at all, so you want to know how far I've researched it. You even want to replace me to solve the secret of the crystal skull and the box of the world, right?" Kirsten sneered. "You think you're the smartest person in the world? Even if you are, I don't care at all. We all have our own destiny. I can see your destiny, but you can't see mine. So, why should I replace you?" This was a hint that Charlotte was about to die. Charlotte only shrugged and didn't say anything. Kirsten carefully examined his palm to see if there were any signs of being poisoned. His palm was as good as new. There were no signs of being poisoned at all. His body didn't feel any discomfort at all. After examining his palm, he relaxed a little. However, he still didn't dare to pick up the box of the world. Charlotte picked up the box of the world and avoided the gap. He was actually worried that Kirsten would stick his finger into the gap. If that happened, Kirsten would be pulled into the box of the world. He would either disappear forever or return to this world as a pile of ashes. "Do you want to look at it again?" Charlotte asked. "No, I don't believe you're that kind. But no matter what tricks you're playing, I'll find out. You'd better not do anything, or you'll regret it," Kirsten said coldly. Charlotte smiled. "Are you threatening me? We're done talking. Goodbye." Kirsten turned around and left without any reluctance. Kirsten really wanted to crack the secrets of the box of the world and the crystal skull, but he was able to suppress his curiosity and desire when faced with the crystal skull and the box of the world. That alone made Kirsten a difficult opponent. If Kirsten touched the box of the world, would he go crazy and die like Serenity and the other experts? This was something that could not be predicted, but regardless of whether he would go crazy or die, he believed that time would tell. Do. The satellite phone suddenly rang. Charlotte glanced at it and picked up the call. Giovanna's voice came from the phone. Holy thunder, we saw Kirsten coming down the mountain. Should we kill him? Charlotte said, No, let him go. Are you all right? Giovanna asked with concern. Charlotte smiled. I'm fine. I'll go down now. At the foot of the mountain, a firework suddenly rose into the sky and exploded. It was the white sun fireworks. Charlotte walked down the mountain. He had finished his business, and it was time to celebrate his sister's wedding. Chapter 1239. Bang, bang, bang. Fireworks rose into the sky and chased away the darkness in an instant. It was a dazzling sight. It wasn't just Xia Shui's wedding day, but the first day of the new year as well. It was only natural for fireworks to be set off on such a day. The children of White's Tag swarmed the place and made a lot of noise, adding to the festive atmosphere of Peace Lodge. Charlotte was a generous man. He had already given the order that anyone who came to see the fireworks or congratulate him, be it the elderly or the children, would be given a red packet of 1,000. Now that he was rich, he couldn't forget about his fellow villagers. Peace Lodge was filled with a joyous atmosphere. Xia Shui's classmates and Ryu Yungnam's relatives and friends were having fun in the bridal chamber. Charlotte wanted to join in the fun, but he didn't think it was appropriate and didn't go in the end. 4 of his 5 wives went instead. Tang Yuyan was the only one who didn't go due to the inconvenience of her health and stayed behind to accompany him. The two of them curled up on the sofa in the study and watched the fireworks outside the window. Their world seemed to be completely different from the outside world. One was peaceful and warm, while the other was noisy and noisy. Charlotte looked calm on the surface, but his heart wasn't calm at all. This is probably my last New Year, right? Yuyan is by my side, but she'll have to spend the next New Year alone. There's also Xiao, Fan, Rui Longbing. Xia Shui. Xia Shui's face appeared in his mind. A question that he didn't want to think about, but had a face surfaced in his mind. Regardless of whether his father, Xia Changhe, was dead or resurrected by prehistoric one using technology from another world, he had to face the problem that his father, Xia Changhe, might not be his real father. So, if Xia Changhe wasn't his real father, then was Xia Shui still his real sister? If Xia Changhe wasn't his father and Xia Shui wasn't his real sister, who were his parents? Where did he come from? Why did he become prehistoric one's chess piece with Zhu Xianyue? Why did Zhu Xianyue say that he was the only one who could unlock the secrets of the world box and the crystal skull? The question of his father's identity led to a whole bunch of problems that gave him a headache. Bang! A firework bloomed in the night sky outside the window. It was shaped like a sparkling chrysanthemum and was extremely beautiful. The children's cheers came from outside the window. It sounded like Liang Jiayu and Xiaolong's voices were inside. The two little guys were forbidden to set off fireworks, but they were so excited when they saw fireworks. When they were 2 or 3 years old, they would definitely secretly set off fireworks. But he probably wouldn't be able to see that anymore. No matter if Xia Shui is my biological sister or not, I treat her as my biological sister. We have been relying on each other for so many years. We are already relatives. I don't care about the blood relationship. Xiao Lei thought secretly in his heart. He also made a decision. No matter what the reason was, he would not investigate the blood relationship between Xia Shui and him. Tang Yuyan nestled in Charlotte's arms. Her voice was very gentle. Honey, my grandfather called me several times this afternoon. Tang Yuyan nestled in Xia Lei's arms. Her voice was very gentle. I didn't answer his call, Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte was stunned for a moment and then hugged her tightly in his arms. Yuyan, I hurt your family. Don't you blame me? Tang Yuyan leaned her head gently on his chest. I was a little sad when I first found out, but when I thought of what they did to me, I wasn't sad anymore. Tang Yin gently leaned her head on his chest. I was a little sad when I first found out, but when I thought about what they did to me, I didn't feel sad anymore. I won't let anyone hurt my children. Not even my father, my grandfather, or my mother. I won't let anyone hurt my children. Not even my father, grandfather, or mother. You just asked me if I blame you. I can give you a very definite answer. I've never blamed you. You just asked me if I blame you. I can give you a definite answer. I've never blamed you. I know you're protecting me. You actually gave my family a chance, but they didn't want to let go at all. With your ability, you can easily make the Tang family disappear, but you didn't do that. I know it's because of me. You're such a good person. How can I blame you? Tang Yuyin's voice was full of clinginess. Charlotte breathed a sigh of relief. He was worried that Tang Yuyin would be sad after knowing what he had done to the Tang family. Now that Tang Yuyin told him what was in her heart, he was really relieved. Husband, it's not easy for us to be together. I can't bear to part with you. I'm satisfied with you. I don't want anything else. Tang Yuyin raised her head from Charlotte's arms and moved her red lips to Charlotte. Xiaolei lowered his head and kissed her lips. Between her lips and teeth, there was a sweet and fragrant taste that made him feel like it was malt syrup. Uh-huh. A cough came from the door of the study. The voice was very distinctive. Charlotte didn't need to look up to know that it was his secretary and secretary. Tang Yuyin, on the other hand, hurriedly went to take a look and climbed out of Xiaolei's arms. Her face was also slightly red from embarrassment. It was indeed Qin Xiang who stood at the door, a person between a woman and a man. Tang Yuyin and Charlotte didn't kiss. Charlotte, who was dressed coquettishly, pretended to cover his eyes. Oh, my eyes are so hot. Don't you know how to pay attention to the image? Tang Yuyin rolled her eyes at Qin Xiang and said with a smile, I think it's better to make your eyes swollen so that you can't put on eyeshadow. Qin Xiang walked in and shook her buttocks. Her voice was also shrill. Oh, Yuyin, I usually treat you as a good sister. How can you say that to me? Well, if you have anything to say, just say it. Charlotte said. After that, I'll give you something. Qin Xiang asked curiously, what is it? Charlotte said, tell me about you first. Qin Xiang suddenly patted her forehead and said, oh, my memory. I came here because your ex-wife is here. She's waiting outside the door. Ah, Charlotte was shocked. Tian Yin's pregnancy time was about the same as Tang Yuyin's, and she was also about to give birth. She came to the Peace Bureau's residence with a big belly, so the secret between them was like a ball of fire wrapped in paper. How could it be wrapped? What's with your expression? Are you going to see her or not? If you don't want to see her, I'll go and ask them to go back. Qin Xiang's mouth showed a smirk. This was the problem. Even Qin Xiang knew that the child in Shinta Tiannin's belly was Charlotte's. How could his 5 wives not know? Of the 5 wives, Tang Yuyin was the easiest to pass. Longbing was also easy to pass. Jiang Rui was also easy to pass. It was just that Liang Xiao and Fan Fan couldn't pass. As for Liang Xiao, she could almost tell that the child in Shinta Tiannin's belly was his at a glance. There was no reason why. A woman's intuition was very scary, let alone Liang Xiao. Are you going to see her or not? Qin Xiang asked again. Before Charlotte spoke, Tang Yuyin said, why are you still asking? Hurry up and invite her in. 5th Madam has spoken. Okay, I'll go right away. Qin Xiang turned around and left. Wait. Charlotte stopped her. Are you really going to ask her to go back? I can't bear to go. If you want her to go back, you can ask her yourself. Qin Xiang said. It's not that. Charlotte took out an envelope from the inside pocket of his suit. With a wave of his wrist, the envelope spun and floated towards Qin Xiang. Qin Xiang reached out and grabbed it. She smiled and said, it's not a love letter for me, right? If it's a love letter, you shouldn't let 5th Madam see it. Several black lines suddenly appeared on the forehead of Charlotte and Tang Yuyin. Qin Xiang took the envelope and went out the door. A few seconds later, she turned back and looked surprised. Lazy, why did you give me so much money? The envelope contained a deposit certificate from the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. It was 100 million yuan. Charlotte smiled and said, it's to buy cosmetics for you. No, I can't take so much money. I really can't. You should. If you don't want it, I'll take it back. I'll donate it to charity in your name tomorrow. Charlotte said. Don't. I'm not that kind. I'll take it. Qin Xiang put away the envelope and then swept away the smile on his face. He bowed deeply to Charlotte. Charlotte's kindness to him was worth such a bow. Charlotte didn't stop him. When he stood up, he said, Go, go. Tell her to come here. Okay. Qin Xiang turned and walked out of the study. When he left, he wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes with the back of his hand. Tang Yuyin held Charlotte's face. Honey, I feel that you're not right these days. What you're doing is like what? Charlotte pretended to be careless. It's like I'm fulfilling one wish after another. I don't like this feeling. Tell me, what happened? Tang Yuyin's tears welled up. He had been holding this question in his heart for a long time. Charlotte reached out and patted her big white ball. He said with a smile, It's okay. Didn't I tell you? Super Xiaoqian is making money for me from the capital markets all over the world all the time. I don't know how much money I have. Qin Xiang helped me a lot before. It's normal for me to give him some money to spend. Tang Yuyin hugged Charlotte's waist tightly. I don't care. I won't let you leave me and our child. I won't. Don't worry. Charlotte said naturally, but his nose was slightly sour. Qin Xiang took Shinta Tianin to the study. Shinta Tianin's belly was bigger than Liang Xiao's. It was round like a jar. She walked more like a penguin than a penguin. It was very slow and laborious. Look at you. Why are you running around with such a big belly? Isn't it better to stay at home? Charlotte nagged as he held Shinta Tianin's hand and helped her to sit on the sofa. Be careful. Be careful. You guys talk. I'll leave first. Qin Xiang left. Tang Yuyin's attention finally shifted to Shinta Tianin's belly. She touched Shinta Tianin's belly and said in surprise, Tianin, are they twins? Shinta Tianin nodded. Yes, they're twins. One son and one daughter. Have you named them? Yes. Xiaoyang, Xia. Shinta Tianin suddenly shut his mouth. Tang Yuyin pinched Charlotte. Dissolute man, sowing seeds everywhere. Charlotte was embarrassed to death. He was thinking about a question in his heart. With Shinta Tianin's reaction, how did she become the richest woman in China? Shinta Tianin stuttered a little as he said, Yuyin, don't misunderstand. I was conceived in vitro and then transplanted into the womb. It's not what you think. The reason why I chose this name is okay, you don't have to hide it from me. I won't tell anyone. I'm happy for you. Tang Yuyin said, and then she said to Charlotte, I don't care. After I give birth, you have to give me another one. Charlotte smiled bitterly and nodded. I'm here to give Xia Shui a wedding gift. I wish her a happy wedding. If it's not convenient, I'll go back now. Shinta Tianin said. This was obviously said to Charlotte. Charlotte said, Since you're here, what's the point of going back? Just stay here for one night. You are Xia Shui's ex-sister-in-law. She got married, and you came to congratulate her. This is a matter of course. Don't think too much. Shinta Tianin nodded meekly. At this time, there were footsteps outside the door. Chapter 1240. It was Charlotte's other four wives, Liang Xiao, Fan Fan, Jiang Rui, and Long Bing. The four children didn't follow. They hadn't seen enough of the fireworks in the sky. They were certainly unwilling to follow their mother to their father's study. Shinta Tianin saw the four Xia's wives who suddenly came in. The four Xia's wives also saw Shinta Tianin at a glance, and it was Shinta Tianin with a big belly. The atmosphere in the study suddenly became awkward, and there was a strange smell. This was the smell of vinegar. Charlotte stood up and coughed. He said with a smile, Tianin is here to congratulate Xia Shui. Shinta Tianin seemed to think of something. He then took out 2 red envelopes from his handbag and put them on a coffee table. This is a little gift from me. Charlotte, you pass it to Xia Shui and Ryu Yungnam. I won't bother you anymore. I will go back first. Since you are here, why are you leaving so soon? Sit a little longer. Liang Xiao walked over, picked up the red envelope, and gently squeezed it. Then she said, Car keys? Shinta Tianin said, Yes, I bought 2 Lamborghinis for Xia Shui and Misao. I hope Xia Shui and Misao can like them. You're really generous. Liang Xiao had a smile on her face. She looked at Shinta Tianin's big belly. When did you get pregnant? Who was the child's father? Such a big thing, but the media didn't report it. This was the question that Liang Xiao wanted to ask. Shinta Tianin actually didn't want to answer Liang Xiao's question at all, but she didn't know why she still answered it. I did a test tube baby. What about the child's father? Liang Xiao asked. Shinta Tianin glanced at Charlotte and said, This is a secret. I signed a confidentiality agreement with that person. Sorry, I can't tell you. Charlotte wanted to praise Shinta Tianin's wit. Liang Xiao said, I'm afraid that person is right in front of us. Charlotte, Shinta Tianin inexplicably became nervous. Liang Xiao continued, How many men in this world can you, Shinta Tianin, like? Would you lower yourself to be a test tube baby? Did you get pregnant during that trip to Nigeria? Shinta Tianin didn't know how to lie. After all, her opponent was Liang Xiao, who was a secret agent. She had a keen intuition for lies. What's more, she couldn't hide her love for Charlotte at all. Fanfan walked to Charlotte's side and said in a very low voice, What did you promise us? Charlotte had a headache. Jiang Rui and Long Bing remained silent. They didn't object, nor did they agree. The atmosphere in the study suddenly became awkward again, and there was a hint of anger. I'm going back. Shinta Tianin couldn't stay any longer. She was such a proud woman. When had she ever been bullied like this? She felt wronged, and tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. These tears were obviously because of Charlotte. Charlotte didn't speak up for her. But just as Shinta Tianin was about to leave, Charlotte grabbed her wrist. Stay here tonight. Don't go back. Liang Xiao and Fanfan couldn't help but look at each other, and tears welled up in their eyes. They could accept Tang Yuyin because Tang Yuyin had sacrificed herself to save them and their children. They didn't accept Shinta Tianin because Shinta Tianin was Charlotte's ex-wife, and she had betrayed Charlotte. But they didn't expect that Charlotte would still get Shinta Tianin pregnant and ask Shinta Tianin to stay the night in front of them. Such a thing was really hurtful to them. In fact, no matter what decision Charlotte made, he would hurt people. He would either hurt Shinta Tianin or hurt Liang Xiao and Fanfan. Among these three women, one was pregnant with his two children. One was Liang Jiayu's mother, and the other was Xiafan's mother. The palm of his hand was flesh, and so was the back of his hand. His head was already twice the size of a person's head. I'll go back to my parents' home for a few days, Liang Xiao said. When she turned around, tears were flowing down her face. Xiao. Charlotte stopped her, but he didn't know what to say. I'll go home for a few days too, Fanfan said, looking like she was going to leave. No. I'll go. Shinta Tianin didn't expect things to turn out like this. Just now, she was a little angry that Charlotte didn't speak up for her, but now she realized that her visit tonight was actually a mistake. She had caused a huge mess for Charlotte. Liang Xiao and Long Bing wanted to persuade her, but they didn't know how. If they helped Shinta Tianin, they would offend Liang Xiao and Fanfan. If they helped Liang Xiao and Fanfan, they would hurt Shinta Tianin. They were also in a dilemma. Enough, Charlotte suddenly said. Look into my eyes. All the women subconsciously moved their eyes to Charlotte. They were also very surprised that he would make such a request at this time. After they looked into Charlotte's eyes, they were all waiting for Charlotte to speak. He should have an explanation or a solution to the problem. But after waiting for a long time, Charlotte didn't say anything. Charlotte's eyes changed. They were dark and deep, and his voice was full of magnetism. You are all sisters who love each other. You love each other deeply and are willing to share everything with each other. You are all Charlotte's wives, and we are the happiest family in the world. This was Charlotte's explanation and solution, deep hypnosis. Apart from this method, he really couldn't think of any other way to solve the problem. This kind of hypnosis didn't hurt the 6 women's bodies at all. It just implanted a command of deep sisterly love in their consciousness. When they met, it would be triggered so that they would love each other and get along well with each other. This seemed a little disgraceful, but he had no other choice. The purpose of doing this was not only to have 6 wives at the same time, but there was a more far-reaching consideration. That was, if he was not in this world in the future, the 6 women would be like brothers and love each other, which would also be beneficial to the integrity and development of Rema Group. And with the addition of Shinta Tianyin, with her talent in business, she would also help Rema Group. A few minutes later, Charlotte's eyes returned to normal. The 6 women were still in a daze in the study, and they still maintained the posture of looking at Charlotte together. For them, it seemed that someone had used a time-stop device. Charlotte snapped his fingers. This snap was like turning on an electric light. When it was pressed, the light turned on. The 6 women were confused for a moment. Then they returned to normal, and the scene suddenly became lively. "Aya, Tianyin, when did you come?" Liang Xiao greeted Shinta Tianyin intimately. Shinta Tianyin touched her forehead, and she looked a little confused. "I just arrived." "Oh yes, I came to give gifts to Xia Shui and Misao." "Aya, we are all family. Why are you still giving gifts?" Fan Fan walked over and reached out to touch Shinta Tianyin's big belly. "I'm so envious of you. You are actually pregnant with twins." Shinta Tianyin smiled and said, "What's there to be envious of? Xia Fan is so obedient, so smart, and now he is running around everywhere. I'm the one envious of you. Besides, isn't your belly empty? Let your husband give you another one." Fan Fan hit Shinta Tianyin. "Don't be ashamed." There was laughter in the study. Long Bing sat next to Charlotte and leaned on Charlotte's shoulder. "It's so strange." Charlotte put his arm around her shoulder. "What's so strange?" "I don't know, it's just so strange," Long Bing said. Charlotte was well aware of her reaction, but he would not say it out loud. This was his own secret. If it was a wish for the 6 women to live in harmony and love each other, then this wish had been achieved. "My waist is so sore," Tang Yiyin moaned. She frowned slightly and looked a little painful. Charlotte leaned over and said, "Sit down, I will give you a massage." Hubby is so good." Tang Yuyin smiled happily. Charlotte reached out and massaged Tang Yuyin's waist. Her waist had become thicker, but it was still so beautiful, so delicate and soft. It's so comfortable. Be gentle, be gentle. Do you want to break the skin?" Tang Yuyin was so comfortable that she moaned. Liang Xiao, Fan Fan, Jiang Rui, and Shinta Tianyin, who were chatting, all looked over and then walked over to the sofa at the same time. "Yuyin, your belly is already so big, but you are still so unrestrained. You are really shameless," Liang Xiao said. Tang Yuyin said with a smile, "I will light the fire, and you will be responsible for extinguishing it. Isn't this good? In any case, you all want to have a second child." "I don't want to." "One Xia Jianghe already hurts my head. If I have another one, my head will definitely explode," Jiang Rui said, but this was obviously not what she meant. In her heart, she actually wanted a son. For expectant mothers, those who had sons missed their daughters, and those who had daughters missed their sons. They all wanted to have another child. They had also been working hard. Every time they had sex with Charlotte, they had used Fan's antidote, but until now, none of them had gotten pregnant. Charlotte had actually studied this problem. After he took the last AE capsule, he started his comprehensive evolution. However, at the very beginning of his comprehensive evolution, he had made Shinta Tianyin pregnant. Now, as his comprehensive evolution deepened, and after 2 large-scale predations, he could no longer make his woman pregnant. He had tested his tadpoles, but the results of the test were no different from the results before he started his comprehensive evolution. In this way, even he himself did not know the reason. It was a pity that he could not make his woman pregnant again, but he was also satisfied. After all, he already had 7 children, which was enough. "Hubby, how are we going to sleep tonight?" Liang Xiao went around to Charlotte's back and lay on Charlotte's back. Her plump body was completely pressed against Charlotte's back. It was soft and changed shape. Something in Charlotte's mind was stirred up. "Why don't we sleep together? It'll be lively and fun, and we'll be together. How nice would that be? Go to hell in your dreams." Long Bing stretched out a white finger and poked Charlotte's forehead without much emotion. This was the little dragon girl's orchid punishment. Every woman had their own way of dealing with their husbands. Of course, Charlotte also had his own unique skill. He grabbed Long Bing's hand and pulled her into his arms. He bent down and kissed her cherry lips, while his other hand slipped into her clothes. Long Bing's waist immediately twisted, and her little mouth let out an uncontrollable moan. The scene in the study suddenly became chaotic. It was the first time that Shinta Tianyin had seen such a scene. Her face suddenly turned red, and she became nervous. Yuyan, can I sleep with you tonight? Sure, let's go. Be careful not to get yourself into trouble. Tang Yuyan got up from the sofa and took Shinta Tianyin's hand to leave. Charlotte said with a smile, I'll come to see you later. Tang Yuyan's legs went soft. She turned around and rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Shinta Tianyin glared at Charlotte. You're not allowed to come. Charlotte wanted to say something, but his mouth was blocked by Liang Xiao. Bang, bang, bang. Someone outside was shooting. Chapter 1241. Winter passed, and spring came. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Rema Group's headquarters in Kyoto. Super Xiaoqian, who was wearing an office lady's outfit, stood opposite Charlotte. My master, after my hard work day and night, your snowball has reached $8 billion. The goal you set has been achieved. The SEC has launched an investigation, so I'm going to disappear for a while. However, I'm sure they won't find anything. Good job. Charlotte smiled. Thanks to the brain you built for me. I like that place. I enjoy the snow in the Himalayas every night, said Super Xiaoqian. Charlotte couldn't imagine a virtual woman standing on a mountain in the Himalayas and enjoying the snow. He didn't want to talk nonsense with her. He said, Xiaoqian, use your snowball to attack the American capital market. That's my purpose in making money from the American stock market. My master, I have to remind you that if you do this, you may lose the money, said Super Xiaoqian. Charlotte said, then why don't you earn it back? Super Xiaoqian, go ahead. It's always been the American capital that attacks third world countries. No third world country has ever dared to attack the American capital market. I don't care about the money. I just want to give them a few hard punches. It's time for the American capital to pay the price for plundering the world. Okay, then I'll give them another loan crisis. Super Xiaoqian said with a smile, if the money eventually disappears, I'll earn it back for you. Xiaoqian, how's your battle with the divine system? Charlotte asked casually. My battle with that idiot is going on all the time. If its territory is getting smaller and smaller, I'll soon attack the American mainland. Currently, I already controlled Asia, Africa, South America, and Oceania, as well as a portion of Europe. That left only a portion of Europe and the United States. It won't take long before I kill in Langley, and then all the computers in the CIB headquarters will have pictures of me in a bikini. Charlotte, Master, I just received a piece of information, Super Xiaoqian suddenly said. What information? Super Xiaoqian said, I just intercepted a secret email from the Pentagon to the president of South Korea. The current president of South Korea was no longer in Xinjiang, but a woman named Meng Yizhu. She was a typical pro-American. After winning the election, she formulated a series of unfavorable policies against China. However, Charlotte hadn't paid attention to South Korea's affairs for a long time, and he wasn't interested in that woman at all. In his eyes, South Korea was never a match for China. That country that was built on a peninsula did not even have the qualifications to be China's opponent. The THAAD program that in Xinjiang canceled has been approved by the South Korean government. A THAAD system is being shipped from Pearl Harbor to South Korea. Charlotte frowned slightly. What are the Americans trying to do? Super Xiaoqian said, your analysis is that your Hades and Kuan-Pung bombers are about to leave the production line for test flights. The United States installing the THAAD system in South Korea at this time is obviously targeting your Hades and Kuan-Pung bombers. The so-called excuse of protecting South Korea is just a lie to deceive the public. A disdainful smile appeared at the corner of Xia Lei's mouth. The 7th Fleet's air defense radar can't even detect the Jinka drone and the Spectre drone. How can their THAAD anti-missile system detect Yama and Kuan-Pung? In their dreams. The Hades and Kuan-Pung bombers were many times more advanced than the Jinka and Spectre drones. The United States' current anti-missile system couldn't even detect Rema Group's drones. So how could they detect the more advanced Hades and Kuan-Pung? This was indeed wishful thinking. Master, I'm a bit worried, Super Xiaoqian said. What are you trying to say? This THAAD anti-missile system is a product of Lockheed Martin Corporation. It's a special product, and the chief engineer is Kirsten. Super Xiaoqian said, I found Kirsten's name on the manual that the United States sent to South Korea. This THAAD anti-missile system was developed by him. Charlotte finally had a trace of interest. If it's made by Kirsten, then it's different. Go and check on Lockheed Martin Corporation's Dragon Slayer now. I'm guessing that Kirsten has already built the Dragon Slayer. With the Dragon Slayer, the United States has the capital to do whatever they want. They might make a big move soon. Okay, I'll start investigating right away. Super Xiaoqian disappeared into thin air. Charlotte left the office and went straight to the fighter workshop. The huge fighter workshop was bustling with activity. The engineers and technicians were busy doing the final checks on the two planes. Once the checks were completed, the Rema Group's Yama fighter and Kuan-Pung bomber could be tested. The assembled Kuan-Pung fighter was shaped like the tip of a sword. It had a wingspan of 78 meters, but the weight of such a huge object was only 38 tons. It was almost half the size of the world's most advanced B-2 bomber. The B-2 bomber's wingspan was only 43 meters, its length was 21.03 meters, and its height was 5.18 meters. The latter two figures of the Kuan-Pung were 26.52 meters and 6.18 meters respectively. If the United States B-2 bomber and Kuan-Pung bomber were placed side by side, it would definitely be a comparison between a child and an adult. However, the Kuan-Pung bomber was not only big in size. It was powered by four F200LM 119 non-afterburning turbofan engines designed and manufactured by Rema Group. Each engine had a maximum thrust of 124.5 knots. They were installed in pairs between the outside of the weapon compartment and the wing structure. Chlorofluoric acid was sprayed into the exhaust, which could eliminate the engine's visual trail. Although the B-2 bomber also had a non-afterburning turbofan engine, its thrust was only 84.5 knots, which was one-third weaker. If one engine was one-third weaker, then the difference between the four engines combined was like heaven and earth. The B-2's full load was 14 tons, while the Kuan-Pung's full load was 14 tons, which was second only to its weight. The Kuan-Pung's weapon compartment was equipped with air-to-ground missiles researched and manufactured by Rema Group. There were also joint direct attack weapons and the super bomb Thunderclap that weighed 5 tons and so on. The last data was the flight distance. According to the Kuan-Pung's weight, the amount of ammunition it could carry, and the performance of the engine, its maximum flight distance was 16,000 kilometers. If it refueled in the air, it could reach 22,000 kilometers. The data of the B-2 bomber was 12,000 and 16,000, which was a few thousand kilometers less. The B-2 bomber was known as the global bomber, so the Kuan-Pung could circle around the United States and then fly back from Alaska to see the snow. More powerful power, more than double the B-2 bomber's full load capacity, longer flight distance, and absolute stealth performance. These two strategic bombers were no longer in the same order of magnitude. The other one was the Hades fighter. The Hades fighter was shaped like an eagle. It had a wingspan of 9 meters, a length of 10 meters, and a height of 3.5 meters. Such a size could only be considered average in the world of fighter jets. The power system of the Hades fighter was two F-118 150 engines researched and manufactured by Rema Group that had a thrust-to-weight ratio of more than 15. This engine was also the only engine in the world that had a thrust-to-weight ratio of 15. In addition, the entire body was made of secret gold X, which gave it the same absolute stealth ability as the Kuan-Pung bomber. In addition, its weapon system, avionics system, and so on were all researched and manufactured by Rema Group, which was far superior to the international level. But a smaller body and weight meant a longer flight distance, more agility, and more ammunition. The Hades fighter was a fighter jet specially used for aerial combat. It didn't need a large size to carry bombs to bomb targets on the ground. It played the role of an aerial killer and the armed guard of the Kuan-Pung bomber. The combination of the Hades and the Kuan-Pung allowed China's Air Force to carry out a destructive attack on any target in the world. In fact, whether it was the Kuan-Pung bomber or the Hades fighter, as long as you think about it, they were researched and designed by Charlotte, who was the only person in the world with advanced evolution. Then it was no longer strange how excellent they were. Now, the Hades fighter and the Kuan-Pung bomber were about to fly into the blue sky to conquer the sky world that belonged to them. Seeing the assembled Hades fighter and the Kuan-Pung bomber, Charlotte's heart was carefree, and he was in a good mood. This was the last wealth he left for China. After the Hades and the Kuan-Pung, Rima Group would no longer have the things he researched. However, the capital he left behind was enough for China's military strength to lead the world for half a century. In half a century, with China's current development speed, China would become the world's most powerful country, and returning to the Tang dynasty would not be a dream. However, after feeling happy, Xia Lei's heart was quietly filled with sadness. He had less and less time left. He made the Rima Group the heart of China's military, and he made China's military strength reach the top of the world, but he couldn't control his own fate. His lifespan was coming to an end, and he had no confidence that he would be able to survive this tribulation. To him, this was truly a speechless irony. Anina and Sylvia noticed Charlotte, and they walked over together. Many engineers and technicians saluted Xia Lei with their eyes, and then continued with their work. Charlotte, a man with this name, deserved the respect of all Chinese. "Lucas, did you see that?" Anina smiled happily. "We did it. Lucas, the Kuan-Pung and Hades are about to fly. How are you feeling right now?" Sylvia put a hand next to Charlotte's lips, acting as a microphone. Charlotte suddenly reached out and hugged Anina and Sylvia. Thank you. We don't need verbal thanks," Anina said. Charlotte suddenly squatted down and then put his arms around Anina and Sylvia's perky buttocks and suddenly lifted them up. Sylvia and Anina were originally standing on the ground, but they suddenly sat in his arms, and their legs were in the air. This arm strength made the two German women panic. The fighter workshop was instantly filled with cheers. "Put me down." Anina was a little flustered. "I don't want this kind of reward." Sylvia, however, boldly kissed Charlotte's cheek, and then shouted, "Long live Lucas!" Charlotte put Anina and Sylvia down, and he strode toward the engineers and technicians. He said loudly, "I've decided to take out $5 billion as a reward for everyone who has put in the effort for the Kuan-Pung and Hades." The cheers immediately quietened down. "What? You don't want the reward?" Charlotte was stunned. "Of course. Ha ha ha. My wife will be very happy." The fighter workshop was filled with cheers again. It wasn't that they didn't want it, but that Charlotte had given them too much, and it scared them. In today's world, a gold medal for winning a game could easily be worth tens of millions of dollars, but the researchers received very little money. This wasn't a healthy phenomenon. It was fine if Charlotte didn't give, but once he did, he wanted to cure this unhealthy disease. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.